Chapter 2171. The Dragon Palace Elder liked to watch these arrogant young people argue with each other. This was also a way to train young people. In order to draw more hatred for Qin Yun, the Dragon Palace Elder said again, "Little fellows below, you guys put on airs in front of me all day, but who do you think you are? This expert Qin Fei is a true genius. He can beat dozens of you by himself. Qin Fei, hurry up and come down." A young man suddenly shouted, "I can defeat you with a single finger." The Dragon Palace Elder laughed and said, "You only know how to brag. Look at Qin Fei. He has the demeanor of an expert, but what about you? Both of them are like the arrogant hooligans on the streets." "All right, this is what Qin Fei said, not me." The youths below looked at Qin Yun with blade-like gazes. A few of them wanted to fly up, but because of the Hidden Dragon Arena's pressure realm, they couldn't fly no matter how much strength they used. Qin Yun really didn't expect this Dragon Palace Elder to be so mischievous. "Qin Fei, cut the crap. Hurry up and put on the Hidden Dragon battle armor and come down to fight. Don't worry, we won't bully you, we won't gang up on you, and we guarantee that we won't beat you to death." A tall young man exuded a powerful dragon aura. It was obvious that he was a dragon in human form. A middle-aged man took out a set of Hidden Dragon battle armor and handed it to Qin Yun. Qin Yun took the Hidden Dragon battle armor and threw it with great force. Boom! The Hidden Dragon battle armor landed on the arena. When it landed, it was hit by the pressure barrier and smashed into the arena with great force, shattering it. What are you doing? Do you want to smash us to death like this?" A young man below shouted. "Qin Fei, hurry up and come down." The Dragon Palace Elder cursed in a low voice. "The Hidden Dragon battle armor is very expensive, 100 million. Qin Yun took out a crystal card and handed it to White Death. "White Commander, this is 100 million crystal card. Consider it compensation for the battle armor." White Death was stunned and took the crystal card. The Dragon Palace Elder cursed in his heart. He should be the one to accept it. Just as the young geniuses below were shouting, Qin Yun suddenly took off his clothes. Everyone was stunned when they saw him take off his clothes. "Hidden Dragon battle armor? I don't need this kind of plaything. Only you delicate little flower seedlings need it." Qin Yun faintly smiled. He wasn't even using his Hidden Dragon battle armor. Everyone present was extremely shocked. Qin Yun took a few steps forward and stood at the edge of the arena. He actually wanted to jump down. "Qin Fei, don't mess around. You'll die if you fall down." The Dragon Palace Elder hurriedly shouted. "Qin Fei, wait." White Death also shouted. Qin Yun had already leaped out. Everyone present held their breath as they watched. Even something as sturdy as the Hidden Dragon battle armor had been pulverized by the force of the impact, and if a person were to fall into it, they would also be crushed to death. Also, it was very hot below the Hidden Dragon Arena. Even celestial gods with very strong bodies would be roasted very quickly if they fell in. Even the arrogant young prodigies down below didn't dare to take off their suits of battle armor. Not only was he not wearing his Hidden Dragon battle armor, but he was also bare-chested. Furthermore, he didn't even use the stairs. While falling down, Qin Yun used Heavenly Firmament Dao Art and Heavenly Might Tyrant Body. Boom! In the instant that everyone was shocked, Qin Yun crashed onto the ground, causing the entire Hidden Dragon Arena to tremble violently. Qin Yun stood upright in the Hidden Dragon Arena. His upper body was roasted red, and his strong muscles appeared even more powerful. The heavenly might on his body made it hard for the young people to breathe. Everyone was shocked, fearful, and filled with disbelief, especially the Dragon Palace Elder and White Death, who knew the Hidden Dragon Arena very well as the people who often protected the Hidden Dragon Arena. When they saw that Qin Yun was completely fine, it was as if they had seen a ghost. Even the dozens of young prodigies knew how dangerous it was for Qin Yun to come down just now. It was extremely fatal. Although they were arrogant, they didn't dare to play like this. Qin Yun swept his gaze across the group of young prodigies indifferently and said, "All of you, come at me together." The aura of the group of young prodigies was dispersed the moment Qin Yun landed. Furthermore, they couldn't gather the power in their bodies at all. This was because they were extremely fearful. That fear caused them to be unable to gather their strength. They knew very well that they would definitely be beaten to their knees if they faced such a person. Why? Didn't you say that you could defeat me with a single finger? Qin Yun sneered. Now that I'm asking all of you to come at me together, why don't you dare? The Dragon Palace Elder and White Death looked at each other. They really didn't expect Qin Yun to be so powerful. At that moment, the young prodigies below also realized that Qin Yun didn't have the 9-yang divine scar on his glabella. The 9-yang divine scar was a characteristic of recovering one's bloodline. Qin Yun didn't have such an item. Could it be that his bloodline hadn't recovered? The group of young prodigies were all frightened by Qin Yun. They had always suspected that Qin Yun had used poison or something. However, no matter how powerful the poison was, it was impossible to avoid the various barrier powers of the Hidden Dragon Arena. But Qin Yun could endure it. Be it not using the Hidden Dragon battle armor or jumping down directly, the young prodigies present couldn't do it, nor did they dare to do it, because it would be very painful. Do you know the true meaning of the Hidden Dragon Arena? Qin Yun asked. Please enlighten us, Big Brother Qin. The person who spoke was a disciple of the Qin Imperial clan. He was even more impressed by Qin Yun and said very respectfully, only by cultivating to greater mastery in the Hidden Dragon Arena can you transform into a dragon and fly. Qin Yun said, you have to fly out from here. Fly out. Everyone was in an uproar, and their faces were filled with fear. Not to mention flying out, even jumping up was difficult. This is an abyss where dragons are trapped. Only those who can fly out from here are true dragons. Qin Yun said coldly, and being able to cultivate here means that you have the potential to become a true dragon. If you don't take it seriously and don't listen to the Elder's arrangements, then get lost from the Hidden Dragon Arena. You will forever lose the qualifications to become a true dragon. After saying that, Qin Yun leaped with great force and erupted with an incomparably powerful force. The entire Hidden Dragon Arena's barrier released its power crazily at this moment, wanting to prevent Qin Yun from flying out. However, Qin Yun's terrifying power continued to batter the barrier. The barrier spewed out waves of energy like the roar of a berserk dragon. Roar! Following a deafening dragon roar, Qin Yun broke through the barrier and jumped onto it. Then, he picked up his clothes and slowly put them on. This scene once again caused everyone present to be dumbstruck. He was fine when he jumped down. It could be said that he had used his powerful body and the power in his body to resist. However, it was even more difficult to jump back up. What shocked Bai Si and the Dragon Hall Elder the most was that jumping down and up was the standard for the Sky Dragon War Immortal test. Of course, the Sky Dragon War Immortal had to wear the Hidden Dragon battle armor during the test, but Qin Yun didn't. It had been many years since a Sky Dragon War Immortal had appeared in the Dragon Hall. However, Qin Yun had passed the test in an instant. Bai Si had explained the significance of the Hidden Dragon Arena to Qin Yun in detail on the way here, so Qin Yun already knew about it. However, he understood the significance of the Hidden Dragon Arena's existence even more. After all, he had arranged for its construction back then. It had indeed nurtured many powerful Sky Dragon War Immortals, forming the main combat strength of the 9-yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun sighed inwardly because he could tell that it had been many years since a Sky Dragon War Immortal had appeared in the Dragon Hall. Even the Dragon Hall Elder wasn't a Sky Dragon War Immortal. Therefore, the Dragon Hall Elder felt very ashamed at this moment because he was inferior to this young man. Why, Commander, where is my residence? Qin Yun asked. This? Bai Si was startled. She was also thinking about where to arrange for Qin Yun to stay. Go to the Sky Palace. The Dragon Hall Elder let out a long sigh. The Sky Palace is still empty. Qin Yun frowned. The Sky Palace was actually empty. The Sky Palace was the highest existence among the 9 palaces of the 9-yang Divine Palace. The Sky Palace had been empty for many years, which meant that the upper echelons of the 9-yang Divine Palace knew their limits and did not stay in the Sky Palace. Dragon Hall Elder, is the Sky Palace really okay? Bai Si said in a low voice, but the residence of the Palace King. He is the only sky dragon war immortal in our 9 Yang divine palace. No one will object to him living in the sky palace. The Dragon Hall elder said. His attitude toward Qin Yun had also changed greatly. But the Sword Hall elder might not be willing. Bai Si said, I'm in charge of the sky palace's entrance. If I say it's fine, then it's fine. As for the Sword Hall, don't worry about them. The Dragon Hall elder waved his hand and said, bring him to the sky palace. We'll talk about it after he stays there. Back then, the sky palace was indeed the residence of the palace king. Furthermore, to the other halls, it was a supreme and sacred existence. For many years, the seniors of the 9 Yang divine palace had been very conscious and did not enter that place. All right, actually, Bai Si did not object to Qin Yun staying in the sky palace. At this moment, the group of youths in the Hidden Dragon Arena did not dare to be arrogant because they had witnessed the gap between them and Qin Yun. What they could not understand was why Qin Yun, who was only a profound god, was so much stronger than them. It made them feel that the 9 Yang bloodline they had recovered was a fake bloodline. Qin Yun followed Bai Si out of the Dragon Hall and headed for the Sky Palace. The entrance to the Sky Palace was rather special. The entrances to the other 8 halls were all on the walls around the enormous palace in the middle. As for the entrance to the Sky Palace, it was in the air above the palace. The top of the palace was emitting a white light. The people who had just entered all thought that it was a glowing stone or something, but it was actually an entrance. White Manager, which hall are you from? Qin Yun asked. I'm an elder of the Beast Hall, but I'm also a general manager. It's mainly because those old fellows are rather lazy, so they let me take care of some trivial matters, Bai Si said. Bai Si looked at the entrance above and said softly, the Dragon Hall elder deliberately allowed you to enter the Sky Palace to arouse the dissatisfaction of the Sword Hall and then cause trouble for you. This Dragon Hall elder wants to see if you can deal with the Sword Hall. Chapter 2172. Qin Yun is not afraid of the Sword Hall. Entering the Heavenly Palace is very important to him. Many of the 9 Yang Divine Palace's secrets are hidden inside the Heavenly Palace. Only Qin Yun knows about the various secret chambers and mechanisms. Qin Fei, you can enter the Heavenly Palace. Just jump up. Bai Si said, I won't go in. If there's nothing, we won't go in. Why? Qin Yun is somewhat puzzled. Can't you just casually enter? Bai Si said, yes, we can't casually enter. To the elders of the other palaces, entering the Heavenly Palace without permission means that an elder wants to monopolize the 9 Yang Divine Palace and will be jointly targeted by the other elders. So that's how it is. Qin Yun nodded. This elder of the 9 Yang Divine Palace really knows how to restrain himself. Qin Yun jumped up and charged towards the circular light screen in the middle of the palace. After entering, he arrived at the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace is a white space. It is different from the other palaces. There is no scenery or purple lightning here. It is a vast expanse of whiteness all around. And in the middle, there's a 9-story jade building that seems to be made of white jade floating in the air. The jade building is very large. It is square in shape, and each floor is more than 10 meters tall. The jade building's door is tightly shut. It looks like it has not been opened for many years. Looks like none of them have entered this Heavenly Palace. Qin Yun flew over and arrived in front of the door to take a look. There are no barriers or seals that can be easily opened. However, for many years, no one has ever stepped in. The upper echelons of the 9 Yang Divine Palace all know that entering the Heavenly Palace without permission is taboo, so no one dared to enter. Qin Yun entered the first floor of the Heavenly Palace. There are many books placed here. There are many large and small bookshelves. Some of the books are very large and are placed on the ground like a table. Nothing has been touched. Qin Yun remembers that his Heavenly Palace has all kinds of ancient books. There are many things recorded inside, mainly about runes and cultivation techniques. Many of the runes and cultivation techniques recorded are useless. Useful runes will be passed down. The runes recorded in these books are merely notes made by the 9 Yang Palace King when he was researching runes. Most of them are manuscripts and the like. He remembered that he had once arranged for many disciples of the Hall of Runes to be in charge of organizing these notes and recording down all the useful ones. This process had taken a total of over 1,000 years. The most important thing about the Heavenly Palace are the various passages that lead to some secret rooms. I wonder if the things inside the secret rooms are still there. Qin Yun strolled around the first floor and arrived in front of a picture. The painting was huge and took up a large part of the wall. This painting was a landscape painting. Walking in front of the painting and looking at it carefully, one would feel as if they were immersed in the beautiful scenery of mountains and rivers. If one looked carefully, they would see that the landscape painting was made of mysterious runes. Qin Yun pressed his hand on the landscape painting, and with a thought, the landscape painting began to fluctuate. It's still the same. It consumes a lot of mental power. Qin Yun smiled and stepped into the painting. After entering, he came to a place with beautiful mountains and rivers, just like the scenery in the painting. This is a space within a painting. Back then, Qin Yun used spatial runes and a large amount of spatial materials to construct it. There was more than one such painting in the Sky Palace. Only he knew that there was a universe within the painting. Qin Yun came out of the painting and sighed inwardly. The things he made back then were actually preserved so well. Why is it like this? Logically speaking, after so many years, these things should have decayed. Qin Yun looked at everything here and felt that it was inconceivable. Just as Qin Yun was feeling very puzzled, he suddenly felt something behind him. After he turned around, he saw a petite woman wearing a snow-white dress, smiling sweetly at him. This petite and exquisite woman is Bai Si. However, it is somewhat different from Bai Si. Bai Si has a faint majesty. Although she looks petite and exquisite, she is a kind of might that makes people revere her and consciously maintain a distance from her. And the woman in front of him has the same appearance as Bai Si, but she is very gentle and sweet. It could be said that she does not have the slightest bit of majesty. She's just like a little girl next door. Who are you? Qin Yun said with a frown. You are not Manager Bai, Big Brother Palace King. Don't you remember me? The white dress woman pouted. Her big eyes are filled with hidden bitterness. You are? Little Palace Spirit? Qin Yun is suddenly shocked and shouted. Didn't your soul scatter? And you even cultivated a physical body? Qin Yun is surprised and also very happy. He said with a smile, Little Palace Spirit, so everything here is protected by you. Big Brother Palace King. Little Palace Spirit saw that Qin Yun recognized her and immediately threw herself at Qin Yun. Qin Yun hugged this petite and lovely woman and gently caressed her head. At this moment, he also felt the Little Palace Spirit sobbing softly in his arms. Big Brother Palace King, it is really great to see you again. I thought I would never see you again. Little Palace Spirit's teary eyes are filled with joy as she looked at Qin Yun. Qin Yun's eyes are also a bit moist, he said with a smile. I am also very happy to see you. When your soul scattered, I was really sad and also very guilty. It was because I was not strong enough that you were destroyed. That's right. How did you come back to life? The Little Palace Spirit wiped away her tears and said with a smile, This is all because Big Brother Palace King spent many years guiding me in cultivating my soul, allowing me to grasp many arcane arts. That is why even if my soul is torn apart, I can still reform it. My soul was shattered into many parts and drifted in the starry sky. Later on, after many years, it finally reformed. Then I returned to this Nine-Yang Divine Palace and found out that Big Brother Palace King is no longer here. Then what happened to Bai Yi? Qin Yun asked. Her soul was cursed. I was the one who helped her recover. Furthermore, I used her blood to build my body. That's why I look exactly like her. The Little Palace Spirit laughed. Then does she know of your existence? Do the other elders know? Qin Yun asked. They all know of my existence, but they have never seen me. Little Palace Spirit sighed and said, It's been many years. I finally see Big Brother Palace King again. That's right. What about Big Sister Uro and the others? Nine-Sun Divine Maiden is fine, Qin Yun said with a smile. Divine Moon of the Heavens is also their home. That's great. Little Palace Spirit charmingly smiled. When I have the chance in the future, I want to get to know them. This little palace spirit is a spirit body created by Qin Yun through the 9-yang divine palace. Later on, it became very powerful. However, after the 9-yang divine palace was attacked, the little palace spirit's soul also scattered. Little palace spirit, do you know how White Tiger died? Qin Yun asked. Yes, yes. Little palace spirit did not say it. She only mumbled and looked very conflicted. Did he not allow you to say it? Qin Yun asked. Little palace spirit puffed up her face and nodded. She said with frown, Big Brother Palace King, don't make things difficult for me. I promised him that I would not tell anyone. I want to avenge him, Qin Yun said solemnly. If you don't tell me, how can I avenge him? Big Brother Palace King, I know you will definitely avenge Uncle White Tiger, but those people are too strong. The 9-yang divine palace only dared to return to the divine desolate land after obtaining the protection of the powerful divine sun after the appearance of the myriad realms divine sun. Little palace spirit said. Then how will you tell me? Qin Yun let out a long sigh. When you become strong enough, I'll tell you. Little palace spirit said. The 9-yang divine palace has been bullied for many years. They have been drifting in the outer heaven realm for many years and are in a sorry state. Moreover, they all know that there are many good things inside this divine palace and want to snatch them. Qin Yun coldly snorted. From today onwards, whoever dares to snatch this divine palace will die a horrible death. Big Brother Palace King, the 9-yang divine palace is currently facing a great threat because this divine palace is very special. Although it was built by you, it has undergone a great change. Little palace spirit said. Were they bullied after obtaining the protection of the 9 suns? Qin Yun asked. Every once in a while, the 9 suns have to undergo nirvana, so the divine palace has no choice but to hide. Little palace spirit said. My mission is to protect the 9-yang divine palace and wait for Big Brother Palace King to return. Qin Yun patted her head and said with a doting smile, Little palace spirit, it's been hard on you all these years. It's not hard at all, as long as I can still see Big Brother Palace King. Little palace spirit hugged Qin Yun's arm. The two of them sat at the same table. Why did the 9-yang divine palace obtain the protection of the 9 suns? Qin Yun asked. Moreover, what kind of good thing is it that so many powerful fellows are eyeing it? Little palace spirit shook her head and said, I don't know either. I only know that I can communicate with the 9 suns from time to time and receive messages. When the 9 suns tell me to leave, I control the 9-yang divine palace and leave. This time, it was also Myriad Realms divine sun that told me to come back and help the imperial race restore the 9-sun royal race bloodline. The 9-yang divine palace is recruiting disciples. Is this also the intention of Myriad Realms divine sun? Qin Yun asked. Myriad Realms divine sun told me that the 9-yang divine palace will face its greatest crisis in history. We must protect it well and not let it be destroyed. Little palace spirit said. During this period of time, I have also been under a lot of pressure. Fortunately, Big Brother Palace King has returned. Even Myriad Realms divine sun can't protect the 9-yang divine palace. Qin Yun is somewhat astonished. The Myriad Realms divine sun is very powerful. Right now, there are only 2 Myriad Realms divine Sunday. Only when all 9 of them are complete will it be the strongest. However, there will definitely be many mysterious powers that will prevent the Myriad Realms divine sun from cultivating to great success, said the little palace spirit. The 9 suns have always been cultivating, and they have also experienced nirvana many times. Now, they have finally cultivated Myriad Realms divine Sunday. However, there are only 2 of them now. The other one is still very small. It will still take a very long time to cultivate 9 huge Myriad Realms divine Sunday. During this process, there will definitely be many difficulties, and they will be obstructed by all kinds of mysterious powers. Suddenly, a burst of noise came from outside. Chapter 2173. The reason why the Dragon Palace Elder allowed Qin Yun to enter the Heavenly Palace is because he acknowledged Qin Yun's status as the Heaven Dragon Martial God. Another reason is to see how Qin Yun would deal with the Sword Hall's people. The Dragon Hall had not had a Sky Dragon Martial Immortal for many years. Now, it was hard to find one. Moreover, it was one with unfathomable strength. Therefore, the Dragon Palace Elder is very happy in his heart. He made a prompt decision to let Qin Yun enter the Heavenly Hall. If the Sword Hall came looking for trouble, he would think of a way to push Qin Yun out and compete with them. In this way, if the Sword Hall was defeated, he, the Elder of the Dragon Hall, would be able to hold his head high. How could Qin Yun not know what the Dragon Palace Elder was thinking? Therefore, he decided not to go out and let the Dragon Palace Elder and the Sword Hall Elder quarrel. Big Brother Hall King, they all have 9 Yang divine marks after recovering the 9 Yang royal family bloodline. I can sense that you have a very strong 9 Yang royal family's bloodline in your body, but why don't you have any 9 Yang divine marks? Asked the little palace spirit as she looked at Qin Yun's glabella. Qin Yun smiled and said, I'm not too sure, but it won't be a problem. The Elder of the Dragon Palace and the Elder of the Sword Palace were arguing very loudly. That kind of sound could directly penetrate through. It could be seen that they wanted the entire 9 Yang Divine Palace to know. Qin Yun and the Little Hall Spirit strolled around the Heaven Hall Tower. Have you used up most of the things I left behind? Asked Qin Yun. Over the years, most of those materials have been used to refine tools. When the 9 Yang Divine Palace was damaged and needed to be repaired, a portion of the materials were also used. Little Palace Spirit replied. She followed behind Qin Yun. Qin Yun looked at the paintings. Each of them was a tiny space. The things he had left behind were placed in the space within the painting. The Heaven Palace Tower has 9 floors. Each floor has more than 10 huge paintings. Qin Yun looked at each floor. He didn't need to enter the paintings to know that the things inside had been taken away. Big Brother Palace King, I'm sorry. I've used up all the things you left behind. The little palace spirit said in a low voice, feeling a little guilty. Qin Yun patted her head and said with a smile, It doesn't matter. It was already not easy for the 9 Yang Divine Palace to be able to survive for so many years. Those materials are only used at critical moments. Otherwise, what's the point of keeping them? Actually, those materials were almost used up a long time ago. The little palace spirit said, Fortunately, we were able to find a lot of materials in the outer heaven domain. It was not easy for this 9 Yang Divine Palace to be able to maintain it so well for so many years. Even if he used up those materials, it would be far from enough. Qin Yun knew this very well, so he did not blame the little hall spirit. Qin Yun said with a smile, Little palace spirit, thank you for protecting this palace so well. The little palace spirit smiled and said sweetly, Big Brother Palace King, this is what I should do. I knew you would come back. At that moment, Qin Yun and the little hall spirit were on the 9th level. Qin Yun had already seen more than 10 paintings there. All the materials stored in the painting had been taken away. However, there were still some secrets here that even the little hall spirit didn't know about. The 9th floor was also filled with books piled up everywhere. Qin Yun released his powerful mental power and controlled the books to float up, piling them up to the side. The hall in the middle of the 9th floor of the Heaven Hall was instantly emptied. Big Brother Palace King, what are you going to do? The little hall spirit asked curiously. There is something hidden here. Qin Yun pointed to the thick carpet and said with a smile, is this also a painting? The little hall spirit said in surprise. Qin Yun pulled the little hall spirit and stood on the carpet. Then he injected powerful blood soul power into it. No, this is a bounded domain. It's an entrance, Qin Yun said. After he opened the bounded domain, the carpet began to float as if it had turned into liquid. Qin Yun and the little hall spirit's body gradually sank into it. To the little hall spirit's surprise, it was not a space below, but like water. After diving, Qin Yun released a stream of mental power to wrap him and the little hall spirit. Then he walked in the water. Big Brother Palace King, there is such a place in the 9 Yang Divine Palace? Why didn't I know about it? The little hall spirit looked around and said in surprise, What is this place? At this moment, They seemed to be at the bottom of a beautiful sea, surrounded by all kinds of sparkling things. This is the infinite star sea realm. In the middle of that carpet, this seawater is a liquid formed from a very special energy. Those things that are shining are all small stars. Chinyan said. Those small stars were really small. The biggest one was only as tall as a person, and the smallest one was like a fruit. The little hall spirit just passed by a small star that was a little taller than her. That small star was very beautiful, red like a gem, shining with bright red light. What is this infinite star sea realm? Why didn't I find this place? The little hall spirit became more curious. Because she was the hall spirit of the 9 Divine Palace. She knew the 9 Divine Palace very well. This is not a part of the 9 Divine Palace. The stars here were all found in the starry sky when I traveled through the heavens. I collected all the beautiful ones. Qin Yun continued to move forward with the little hall spirit. The little hall spirit looked at the beautiful small stars and praised again and again. Qin Yun seemed to be looking for something here. Big Brother Palace King, what are you looking for? The little hall spirit asked. Back then, I encountered a very special star. That star is very special, very heavy, but it is not the Nether Sun. Qin Yun said. I only remembered it when I came here. Nether Sun, Moon, and Myriad Realms Divine Sun are all stars, but they are very special. The Nether Sun is also relatively small, but very heavy. It is also completely black and has a very strong devouring power. It is not the Nether Sun, but a very heavy star? Is it big? The young palace spirit also looked around, wanting to help Qin Yun find the star. Not big, not as big as you. Qin Yun said, It took me many years to refine this infinite star sea realm. The main purpose was to collect those stars. Back then, it was very difficult to store that star. I made many improvements to the infinite star sea realm before I could store it. There are many threads floating in the water of the infinite star sea realm. They are all runes that can seal the stars here. Suddenly, a relatively strong purple-red light shone over from the front. Found it. After Qin Yun saw the purple-red light, he said in shock, Back then it was golden. How did it turn purple now? The little hall spirit shouted in shock. It is indeed a very special star. What kind of power is this? It is very strong. After approaching, Qin Yun and the little hall spirit were enveloped in the purple-red light. Is this the divine universe amethyst? Ling Yun said in surprise. The star is like a purple-red, transparent crystal ball. It is not even as tall as the little hall spirit, and it is floating in the water. This kind of power is indeed a bit like the divine universe amethyst, but it is also not. After so many years, the energy inside this star has not been exhausted. Instead, it has evolved. What Qin Yun finds most inconceivable is that this purple-red star is also affecting all the stars inside. The seawater of the infinite star sea realm has become very strong after being released by the purple-red star. It can bear the weight of these heavy stars. Qin Yun reached out his hand and touched the purple-red star. The purple-red star suddenly began to spin. The surrounding seawater and the small stars in the seawater began to spin and rushed into the purple-red star. Qin Yun is startled. He is somewhat worried that he will be sucked in. Fortunately, he and the little hall spirit did not feel the devouring power. However, the surrounding seawater and the large and small stars all followed the spinning and entered the purple-red star. Big Brother Palace King, what's going on? The little hall spirit saw those beautiful little stars distort along with the seawater and are swallowed by the purple-red star. She felt that it is a pity. Qin Yun held the little hall spirit's hand and said with a smile, Don't worry. This star should be a mother star. What kind of star is this? How can it be so powerful? The little hall spirit is very puzzled. The 9 Divine Palace has also traveled the starry sky before, so she has a good understanding of all kinds of stars. If I'm not wrong, this should be the divine universe, purple sun. Qin Yun said, It is a very small one. It has just formed. Ah, divine universe, purple sun? The little hall spirit said in surprise. And it should be. Qin Yin looked at the divine universe purple sun and said with a smile, "Back then, I already felt that this thing was not simple. I didn't expect it to actually grow into a divine universe purple Sunday. Divine universe power is a very mysterious power that can be found throughout the endless universe. The divine power flowing in the universe is called divine universe power. Whether it is the myriad realms divine sun, or the myriad heavens divine moon, or the divine power released by all kinds of stars, they all come from the mysterious divine universe power. The formation of the 9 suns is related to the divine universe golden stone. However, after the 9 suns grow, they can cultivate even more powerful divine power. The kind of divine power is also more suitable for living beings to absorb. One must know that the divine universe power is very berserk. Directly absorbing it into the body would be unbearable unless there is a special great formation to transform it. And the 9 suns can be considered a huge 9 dragons heavenly origin formation. So it can transform the divine universe power into divine power that is more suitable for living beings to absorb. Not to mention the divine universe power inside the divine universe golden stone, even the divine power of the sun god crystal is very wild. Without a strong enough body, one would not dare to directly absorb the power of the sun god crystal. The conditions for the formation of the divine universe purple sun are very harsh. Qin Yin also doesn't know why it formed here. He suddenly felt that why the myriad realms divine sun would pay so much attention to the 9 yang divine palace. Maybe the myriad realms divine sun could sense that there is a divine universe purple sun here. The myriad realms divine sun said that the 9 yang divine palace will face a great crisis. Could it be because of this divine universe purple sun? The little hall spirit asked. And it might be, Qin Yin said, not to mention a divine universe purple sun. Even a small piece of divine universe purple crystal would cause a reign of terror. Chapter 2174. Qin Yin also had divine universe amethyst in his hands, and it was a relatively large piece, which came from the heavenly law divine realm. The natural law divine realm had a lot of divine universe golden stones and divine universe amethyst, which were mainly plundered by the heavenly Tao from those heavenly realms back then. It was unknown how many divine universe amethyst and divine universe golden stone the natural law divine realm still had in his hands. Qin Yin understood from the imperial sound heavenly mother that the natural law divine realm did not have a lot of resources on hand. It was not as extravagant as before. This was especially true for divine universe weapons, which would gradually become rarer. Those divine universe weapons were all one-time use items. In the past, the heavenly Tao had used divine universe gold stones or divine universe amethyst to create them. Once the energy within a divine universe weapon was exhausted, it would become useless. Big Brother Palace King, how are we going to use this divine universe purple sun? Little Palace Spirit looked at the beautiful divine universe purple sun. Her beautiful eyes flickered and said, "This is different from the divine universe golden stones I saw before. The energy released by those divine universe golden stones is very crazy." The energy released by the divine cosmos purple sun was extremely gentle. However, it didn't take long for the divine universe purple sun to devour the surrounding stars. Were those little stars eaten by the divine universe purple sun? The little palace spirit felt that it was a pity. No, those little stars should be one with her. If not for all these years, those little stars have been nurtured by the divine universe purple sun's energy. They would have already disappeared. Qin Yin said, "Then why did she take away all the little stars when she saw us?" The little temple spirit looked around. The realm of the infinite star sea became empty. There was no water or dazzling little stars. Only the divine universe purple sun in front of him was releasing dazzling purple light. Qin Yin said, "Maybe Shun Yu Ziyang knows that she wants to move." He smiled, then placed his hand on the divine universe purple sun and touched it. He only felt warmth. With a thought, the divine universe purple sun entered the first pearl of the nine-sun divine soul. The first pearl of the nine-sun divine soul is a very big small world. After the divine universe purple sun entered, many small stars that were sucked in by it suddenly appeared above the nine-sun divine soul's first pearl. The interior of the nine-sun divine soul's first pearl is filled with stars. Furthermore, they are all very beautiful little stars. This immediately made Yang Yang, Mo, little Jade Rabbit, and the little ant queen cheer. Especially the little queen ant, she no longer needed to eat divine universe golden stones in the future. She could directly absorb the divine universe purple sun's power and release a very strong spatial energy. Qingyun also let the little palace spirit enter the first pearl of the nine-sun divine soul to let her meet those cute little things. What made Qingyun somewhat surprised is that this little girl Yang Yang can actually enter the divine universe purple sun's interior. Moreover, after entering, she did not come out. He also doesn't know what she is doing inside. Mo only said that Sister Yang Yang found a good place to sleep. Originally, Qingyun planned to refine primal chaos divine sun inside the nine-sun divine spirit. But now, in the first pearl of the nine-sun divine soul, there was a divine universe purple sun, which was even rarer than the primal chaos divine Sunday Xiao Yun. Shen Yuziyang wants a sun seed. Ling Yun suddenly shouted. Qingyun indeed has the sun seed, but he does not know what divine universe purple sun wants to do here. Why does divine universe purple sun need a yang seed? Qingyun immediately asked. Ling Yun is a spirit body. She can communicate with divine universe purple Sunday. I don't know. She sensed the sun seed and said that she needs it. Qingyun can only put the sun seed into the first pearl from another pearl of the nine-sun divine spirit. The divine universe purple sun of the first pearl quickly absorbed the sun seed. Yin help me ask if she can be sensed by others. Qingyun said, if it's like divine universe golden stone, it's very easy for others to sense it. Then I'll be in great danger. After a while, Ling Yun said, she said, don't worry, nothing will happen. Qingyun felt that this kind of explanation is very perfunctory, but he has no other choice. With something like the divine universe purple sun, it is normal to bear a great risk. Just like back then, he obtained a very large divine universe golden stone and was chased everywhere. He is already used to this kind of thing. Qingyun and the little palace spirit left the myriad star sea realm and arrived outside. Not long ago, Qingyun's nine-sun divine spirit awakened the ability Sun Heavenly Shield. He felt that if it was used with the divine universe purple sun, the Sun Heavenly Shield would definitely be even more powerful. No matter what, it would allow him to have a strong enough defense and also have a strong energy supply. His plan was to refine the primal chaos divine sun, but now he has a very powerful divine universe purple Sunday. This made him suddenly look down on the primal chaos divine sun. Back then, when he was still the king of the nine-sun palace, he began to plan this matter. Until now, he still hasn't been able to refine the primal chaos divine Sunday. Qingyun now has a certain understanding of the primal chaos divine sun, but the plan can't keep up with the changes, and it's a very good change. If I can cultivate 9 divine universe purple suns, wouldn't I be even stronger? Qingyun suddenly felt excited in his heart. With 1 divine universe purple sun, he might be able to cultivate a second one. Not good. Someone has come to the 9-yang divine palace to cause trouble. After the little palace spirit came out, he closed his eyes and saw the palace of the 9-yang divine palace. That spacious palace can also be used for fighting. As for Qingyun, he was looking at a painting. The painting fluctuated as the scene inside the hall appeared. By sea, the dragon palace elder and a tall, thin, and long-bearded middle-aged man holding a sharp sword. They are all standing together. A group of middle-aged and young people are standing behind them. It is as if they're going to welcome a strong enemy. That long-bearded middle-aged man is the Sword Hall Elder. The little palace spirit said. He is standing together with the Dragon Palace Elder. That means they have temporarily put aside their dispute. Normally, they will only unite when they are fighting against a common enemy. The Dragon Palace Elder said, Sword Hall Elder, the reason why Qin Fei is not coming out is not because he is afraid of you, but because he is currently injured. The Sword Hall Elder said with sneer, Don't say any more. The people from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain are about to arrive. At that time, only our Sword Hall's heavenly sword god will fight. Your heavenly dragon war god will not fight, and instead hide in the heavenly palace. This is not justifiable. It's really inconvenient for him right now. Why don't we go to the heavenly palace to find him? The Dragon Palace Elder is also somewhat anxious. He also hopes that Qin Yin will come out. No need, we can't enter the heavenly palace right now. He will come out sooner or later. As for whether or not he has the qualifications to stay in the heavenly palace, I will test him, the Sword Hall Elder said. Sword Hall Elder, when did you agree to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain? Why didn't you discuss this matter with us? Bai Si said, It's the Sword Sun Divine Mountain who repeatedly challenged our Sword Hall. Naturally, we had to accept the challenge. Moreover, after we win, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain promised to give us their divine crystal mining area. The Sword Hall Elder said, And if we lose? The Dragon Palace Elder said in low voice, Then I will give my heavenly sword to them. After the Sword Hall Elder finished speaking, he said again, Don't worry, you won't lose your things. Qin Yin frowned. The Sword Hall Elder's heavenly sword is very precious. The origin sword cultivated by a sword cultivator, when it reaches an extremely high realm, is the heavenly sword. It can be said that a sword cultivator exhausted his entire life and used endless blood, sweat, and tears to cultivate this sword. Let's not talk about how powerful it is. Just the process of forming the heavenly sword has an extremely high value as a collection. And the Sword Sun Divine Mountain is one of the 8-9 sun sects. They mainly use the sword. Bai Si, the Dragon Palace Elder, as well as dozens of elders and hundreds of youngsters present, are all looking at the Sword Hall Elder in astonishment. Because this is truly too astonishing. The Sword Hall Elder actually took out his heavenly sword to gamble. As long as the sword exists, the person exists. If the heavenly sword were to be lost, then the Sword Hall Elder would most likely commit suicide. Truly reckless. Qin Yin said with a frown, Big Brother Palace King, do you want to go out and stop them? The little palace spirit said. No, I will first see how the Sword Hall Elder will deal with it. If they win, then I won't appear. If they lose, then I will make a move to reverse the situation. Qin Yin looked at the painting on the wall and said, Not long after, the people from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain arrived at the Nine-Yang Divine Palace's palace. In the middle of the palace, an array pillar has already been erected. They will compete in sword techniques here. When facing external enemies, the Nine-Yang Divine Palace is still very united. At least they won't show any signs of mutual displeasure. Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Back then you left the Divine desolate like stray dogs. Now you have finally returned. Do you think that by helping the Nine-Sun royal family recover their bloodline, you can enslave them? A gray-clothed old man from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain mocked loudly. Qin Yin looked at the old man and felt infuriated. The gray-clothed old man's name is Xiang Junjian. He is the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's sect master. Back then, he plotted against Qin Yin. Qin Yin was once the sect master of a 9-sun sect. Later on, he was besieged by 8 other 9-sun sects. This Xiang Junjian also caused great damage to Qin Yin back then. Xiang Junjian is a sacred god. Qin Yin did not personally investigate his cultivation, so he doesn't know if he can defeat him. He took out the 9 desolate divine saber and placed it into the first pearl of the 9-sun divine spirit to let the divine universe purple sun help repair it. Last time he used the 9 desolate divine saber, it broke a bit. The 9 desolate divine saber absorbed the divine universe's power and quickly recovered. If it was inside the divine universe purple sun, it would definitely recover very quickly. Then, he changed into the heaven trampling god boots. The heaven trampling god boots are formed from sun soul. After wearing it, it can increase a lot of divine power. Big Brother Palace King, are you going to fight? The little palace spirit asked when she saw Qin Yun's preparations. I still don't know. If the Sword Hall elders can win, I won't fight inside the Divine Palace. Qin Yun said. His target is the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's sect master, Xiang Junjian. His plan is that once Xiang Junjian leaves the Nine Sun Divine Palace, he will secretly chase after him and find an opportunity to kill Xiang Junjian. Then the little palace spirit can sense Qin Yun's faint killing intent. That guy owes me, it's time to pay it back. Qin Yun smiled, gently caressed the little palace spirit's head and said, Don't worry, nothing will happen to me. Then he took out a mask and put some beard on his face. If the Sword Hall's heavenly sword god is no match, then he, the one-eyed dragon Qin Fei, will have to go on stage. Chapter 2175. The disciples of Sword Sun God Mountain didn't look weak, and the disciples of Sword Hall were also sword cultivators. However, the Sword Hall did not have any disciples from the Nine Suns royal family yet. Although some of the disciples from the Nine Suns royal family had entered the Sword Hall, they had yet to become sword cultivators. The Sword Sun God Mountain had also noticed this, which was why they dared to challenge the Sword Hall. After everyone retreated, two icily arrogant young men took out their life swords. The Sword Hall and the Sword Sun Divine Mountain had been sworn enemies for many years. Now that the Sword Hall had absorbed the youths of the Nine Suns royal family, they would soon be able to nurture powerful sword cultivators. The Sword Sun God Mountain was worried that they would not be able to defeat the Sword Hall in the future, so they wanted to seize this opportunity to defeat the Sword Hall first. Now that the Nine Yang Divine Palace had returned, the Sword Sun God Mountain would definitely destroy the Nine Yang Divine Palace's prestige, and this was also their only chance. If the disciples of the Nine Suns royal family grew up in the Nine Sun Sacred Hall, the Nine Sun sect would definitely not be a match for them. The two disciples of Sword Hall and Sword Sun God Mountain began to fight. The little palace spirit asked from the side, Big Brother Palace King, what do you think of the Sword Hall's disciples' sword techniques? The swordsmanship of this Sword Hall disciple is a little more conservative. It's mainly focused on defense. Qin Yun said with a frown. Leaning towards defense is correct, but the main purpose of the sword is to attack. If all the sword techniques are used for defense, then the offense will be greatly lacking. The little palace spirit nodded and said, Sword Hall Elder, why did you send this disciple to fight? Is he lacking in confidence? Qin Yun said, The Sword Hall Elder probably wants to play it safe. But when sparring with swords, there is no such thing as stability. Moreover, it is very difficult to defend. As long as there is a slight flaw, the opponent will attack crazily. Victory and defeat are often decided in an instant. The disciples of the Sword Hall did not attack at all during the battle, nor did they have any thoughts of attacking. They only focused on defense. Originally, Qin Yun believed that the Sword Hall disciple was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for his opponent to show a flaw before attacking. However, the patient realized that he was wrong. The disciples of the Sword Sun God Mountain had already revealed several openings. As long as they seized those opportunities, they would be able to defeat the disciples of the Sword Sun God Mountain. However, the Sword Hall's disciples did not attack in the slightest. They continued to defend. Qin Yun frowned secretly when he saw this. The disciples sent by Sword Hall were very strong, but they were not suitable for such sparring matches. They were only suitable for large-scale battles where they were used to expend their energy or force their opponents to retreat. In comparison, the disciples of the Sword Sun God Mountain attacked very fiercely. Under such ferocious attacks, even a strong defense would be forced to reveal flaws sooner or later. In the hall, sword shadows flashed, and the sword chi was like a cold wind. The two sword cultivators, one on the offensive and the other on the defensive, fought quite intensely. The disciples of the Sword Hall were indeed very strong in terms of defense. It could be said that they had reached the pinnacle. It could be seen that he mainly cultivated in this aspect. Ignoring Qin Yun, many of the seniors present could tell that the Sword Hall disciples had missed several opportunities to attack. They all felt it was a pity. The Sword Hall elder was also a little anxious. He wanted to shout out commands, but he was worried that he would disturb that disciple. This disciple is very strong, but his direction is a little wrong. Qin Yun said, moreover, his character should be the kind of one-track mind, very stubborn. That's why he is desperately cultivating this kind of defensive sword art. The young palace spirit is very anxious. He said, he didn't attack several times, otherwise he would have won. The sword in the sword sun god mountain disciple's hand suddenly trembled, and a very fierce energy wave surged out. This can be said to be very sudden. A violent sword energy flew out along with the sword wave. It carried a very strong divine power and enveloped the sword hall disciple's body. The sword hall's disciples suddenly became flustered, revealing a huge flaw in their defense. The sword sun god mountain disciple quickly stabbed out with the sword in his hand. The sword hall disciple hurriedly dodged, but his throat was pierced. If he did not dodge slightly, his head would have definitely been pierced. We admit defeat, the sword hall elder promptly shouted. Blood flowed out of the sword hall disciple's throat, but fortunately, it stopped very quickly. He suffered a rather serious injury, but his life was saved. The battle between the sword hall and the sword sun god mountain was a best of 3. If the sword sun god mountain won another round, the sword hall would lose. At that time, the sword hall elder would have to hand over his heavenly sword to Xiang Junjian. Your sword hall's disciples are much weaker than I imagined. Xiang Junjian laughed coldly. The sword hall has truly declined for so many years. If it was any other time, the Dragon Hall elder would have definitely ridiculed the sword hall elder, but now he is more concerned. Although the sword hall elder is his sworn enemy, they have been together for many years. If the sword hall elder loses the heavenly sword, it means that he will commit suicide. Sword hall elder, you will have to send out even stronger disciples next. The Dragon Hall elder said, although that disciple, just now, is heavenly sword god, he is not suitable for this kind of battle. The sword hall elder's expression is also very grave. He said in low voice, he is our sword hall's only heavenly sword god. The reason why he was able to pass the heavenly sword god's assessment is also because he is very stubborn and only concentrates on cultivating the same type of sword art. The Dragon Hall also has Heavenly Dragon War God, and the Sword Hall has Heavenly Sword God. After Qin Yun heard this, he lightly sighed and said, it seems like I can only go out. Xiang Junjian laughed loudly and said, Sword Hall Elder, it is not the first time your Sword Hall has lost to us. But every time you are full of confidence and think that you could defeat us, you lose every time. The Sword Hall elder gnashed his teeth, looked at Xiang Junjian, and said with cold snort, this time I did not underestimate the enemy. That disciple just now is the strongest heavenly sword god our sword hall has nurtured for many years. So what? Didn't we still lose? Xiang Junjian said with smile. At this moment, Qin Yun suddenly descended from the top of the palace. After he landed, many youngsters present let out cries of alarm. Qin Yun's one-eyed dragon attire is something many people are familiar with. Qin family's one-eyed dragon shone brilliantly in the Medicine King Alliance. The Heavenly Palace's entrance is directly above the palace. Qin Yun descending from above means that he is inside the Heavenly Palace. Xiang Junjian also has some understanding of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. He did not expect that this one-eyed dragon could actually enter the Heavenly Palace. Next, let me fight. Qin Yun looked at Xiang Junjian. His eyes revealed traces of killing intent. Dragon Hall Elder and Bai Si are very happy because they know that Qin Yun is a heavenly dragon war god. That kind of strength is very formidable. Xiang Junjian looked at Qin Yun and said with cold snort, Qin Fei, you are indeed in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. We have been looking for you everywhere. What? Didn't your Nine Sun sects lose miserably enough in the Medicine King Alliance? Qin Yun said with sneer. Nine Sun sects disciples also suffered great losses in the Medicine King Alliance. Don't think that just because you have the Nine Sun royal family's bloodline, we are afraid of you. Who doesn't know that you used poison back then? Now, even if you use poison again, You won't be able to win, Xiang Junjian said with sneer. Whether Qin Yun used poison or not, many of the older generation are very clear, especially the Nine Sun Sect's people. They naturally know that Qin Yun did not use poison. However, they are very unhappy, so they deliberately spread rumors to discredit him. The Sword Hall elder finally saw the young man who entered the heavenly palace. He is certain that he will lose today because whether it is his sword hall or the other palaces, none of them have any decent disciples. We will know after we fight, Qin Yun said. This is a battle between sword cultivators. Will you also use a sword? Xiang Junjian said. When fighting, one can only use weapons like Origin Sword. Do you have one? Qin Yun suddenly condensed a golden mist in his hand and then transformed it into a sword. He said, Is this okay? A sword condensed from divine power? You want to compete with a sword cultivator's Origin Sword? Sword Sun Divine Mountain's disciples loudly mocked. The group of Sword Sun Divine Mountain's young disciples all laughed loudly. Even the Sword Hall's disciples are somewhat embarrassed because they know that a sword condensed from divine power is completely incomparable to an Origin Sword. I can defeat you without using a sword, but since you look down on my sword condensed from divine power, I will use this sword to defeat you. Qin Yun looked at the Sword Sun Divine Mountain's disciples and said with a faint, imposing manner. Xiang Junjian said, Hong Shizong, if you kill him, your name will spread throughout the Divine Desolate. Qin Imperial Clan's one-eyed dragon Qin Fei is a famous person among the younger generation. Becoming famous is something that many young people yearn for. After Hong Shizong heard this, he became even more excited and said, He can defeat heavenly gods. I can also defeat heavenly gods. He is definitely not my match. To deal with this kind of lowly person who only knows how to use poison, I can dismember his corpse in 3 sword strikes. Hong Shizong is a great god. His strength is extremely strong. The remnant sword energy here, whistled from time to time, is like a knife cutting on people's bodies. You obtained the primal chaos race's bloodline? Qin Yun looked at Hong Shizong and said, You have primal chaos divine power on you. You have such a powerful bloodline, yet it took you so long to defeat the Sword Hall's disciples? It seems like the primal chaos race's bloodline has been given to dogs. The Sword Hall's people immediately burst into an uproar. No wonder their heavenly sword god lost. He actually met someone with primal chaos bloodline. Many people already knew that the primal chaos race's bloodline could be inherited. The primal chaos race also used this point to bribe the big shots of the great powers. For example, the Heavenly Emperor and Heavenly Mother of the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. You have the bloodline of the 9 Suns royal family, right? But you don't have a 9 Yang divine mark. It seems like your bloodline isn't that great either. Hong Shizong tightly held his origin sword and said with a sneer, Today, I will definitely prove that the primal chaos bloodline is stronger than the 9 Yang bloodline. Hong Shizong really did have the primal chaos bloodline. Previously, everyone thought that Qin Yun was just spouting nonsense. The upper echelons of the 9 Yang Divine Palace did not realize this, which made them feel somewhat embarrassed. Everyone was very curious about Hong Shizong's identity. How did he obtain the primal chaos bloodline? Chapter 2176. Sword Hall Elder and the other upper echelons also went to open the barrier. Bai Si and Dragon Hall Elder are not worried about Qin Yun. They have seen Qin Yun's strength with their own eyes. That kind of unfathomable strength makes it very difficult to judge how strong he is. At this time, Grandma Qianghua, Medicine King Qin, and a group of Qin family elders arrived. They learned that Sword Sun God Mountain's sect master Xiang Junjian has entered 9 Yang Divine Palace. That's why they rushed over. All the new 9 Sun royal families' clans know about 9 Yang Divine Palace's situation. Although the 9 Yang Divine Palace had the ability to help them quickly build the altar, the entire 9 Yang Divine Palace lacked new blood. That's why they agreed to join hands with 9 Sun royal family. All the 9-son royal family's clans have seen 9 young divine palaces' inheritance. They all hope that their children can grasp those inheritance and obtain formidable strength. Now that 9 young divine palace is in trouble, Qin family naturally came to help because they are already one. Xiang Junjian, long time no see. Grandma Qianghua said with sneer, your sword sun god mountain and primal chaos race are very close. Primal chaos race can attack our 9-son royal family, so they let you dogs come and cause trouble? Old Granny Qianghua, you'll cry. Xiang Junjian shouted in anger. Xiang Junjian, are you courting death? Medicine King Qin saw someone insult his wife and immediately shouted in anger. Xiang Junjian said with sneer, courting death? Do you think that just because you recovered your 9-son royal family bloodline, you can do whatever you want in Divine Desolate? You don't know anything about the strongest existence in Divine Desolate. The people of Qin family also saw Qin Yun preparing to fight someone in the palace hall. Grandma Qianghua is not worried about Qin Yun. She only feels that it is strange that Qin Yun does not have 9-son divine mark on his forehead. Your 9-son sex actually declined to the point that you have to kneel and lick primal chaos race. No wonder, after all, your previous master Heavenly Law Divine Domain is also kneeling and licking primal chaos race. Slaves like you naturally have to kneel and lick. Qin Hua Wang said with sneer. Xiang Yunjian's expression turned cold and said, your Qin family is speaking less nonsense. If you have the guts, go and destroy my sword's sun god mountain. Let's see how powerful you are and how strong my sword's sun god mountain is. After the Qin family people arrived, Qin Yun looked at those seniors. Indeed, they all have 9-son divine marks on their foreheads. Hong Shirtsong said coldly, the Qin family is so arrogant because of this one-eyed man. He used poison to defeat the primal chaos race's royal grandson, making people think that his bloodline is very powerful. Only we know that this guy is an expert in using poison. That's why he won. Upon hearing this, Bai Si, the elder of the Dragon Hall, and the young geniuses who had entered the Dragon Hall were displeased and even a little angry. Previously, because they believed in such a saying, it led them to believe that Qin Yun was nothing great. Hong Shirtsong was a sword cultivator. His destiny's divine sword was very strong, and adding on the fact that he had obtained a powerful primal chaos bloodline, he believed that he was definitely very strong. Hong Shirtsong, when you kill him, remember not to kill him so quickly. You have to take it slow. You have to let these fellows see how weak this so-called 9-son royal family genius is. Xiang Junjin laughed and said, Hong Shirtsong defeated the Sword Hall disciples before, so he can still stay on the stage. As long as he wins this battle, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain will obtain a great victory and also win the Sword Hall Elder's heavenly sword. The Sword Hall Elder's heart is heavy. He doesn't think very highly of Qin Yun because he knows how strong a person with Destiny Divine Sword and Primal Chaos bloodline is. Begin. The Sword Hall Elder's expression is grave as he loudly shouted. At the beginning, Hong Shirtsong's body moved like lightning. The Destiny Divine Sword in his hand flickered with cold light as it stabbed towards Qin Yun's head. His first move was a killing move. It must be said that Hong Shirtsong is indeed a sword expert. Not only is his Destiny Divine Sword very strong, his sword moves are also very brilliant. It looks like it is stabbing towards Qin Yun's head, but it is actually stabbing towards Qin Yun's legs. When everyone thought that the sword was stabbing towards Qin Yun's head, Qin Yun is actually defending himself. He used the heavenly strong Dao technique to make his palms very hard and slapped the sword that was stabbing towards him. Clang! The sharp sword that was stabbing towards Qin Yun's legs was slapped away by Qin Yun's palm. The condensed sword energy even scattered. This sword strike is extremely thrilling. It caused all the men present to feel a chill in their legs. If they were to be stabbed, it would truly be fatal. Everyone is secretly alarmed. Qin Yun can actually see the trajectory of Hong Shirtsong's sword and know where the sword is stabbing towards. Even many of the seniors present were unable to see through it. Hong Shirtsong also did not expect that Qin Yun, who looks like he is full of flaws, would be able to defend so tightly. Let's see how long you can last. Hong Shurt-sung attacked again. He rushed over and used a few sets of fast and ruthless sword techniques in succession, setting off waves of sword shadow energy waves. The kind of sword shadow energy wave, along with the powerful sword aura, wave after wave, unceasingly and extremely ferociously attacked Qingyun. Even the Sword Hall Elder and the other upper echelons of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace are amazed by Hong Shurt-sung's superb sword technique usage. The people of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain also burst into cheers. Hong Shurt-sung's sword technique is not only extremely gorgeous, its offensive is also very ferocious. Just looking at it makes one feel as if they are unable to breathe. If they are even a little bit careless, their entire body will be pierced into a beehive or even torn to shreds by the sword energy. At the beginning, everyone felt that Qingyun would be stabbed by Hong Shurt-sung's next sword strike. However, no matter how hard Hong Shurt-sung tries, no matter how sinister and ruthless his sword technique is, no matter how fast his sword strike is, he is unable to stab Qingyun. Everyone also noticed that the sword Qingyun condensed from divine power is always on his back. He did not use it to defend. When he defended, he did not use his sword. Instead, he used his powerful divine power to directly slap away Hong Shurt-sung's sword with his palm. Do you only know how to defend? Xiang Junjian shouted loudly. That heavenly sword god from the sword hall has been constantly defending. Now he is very seriously watching the battle. He suddenly realized something and shouted in low voice. His sword is not used for defense, but for offense. Sword can be used for defense, but must be used for offense. Qingyun said. He is also giving pointers to that heavenly sword god. Thank you for your guidance. Heavenly sword god said. It's good that you understand. After Qingyun finished speaking, he suddenly hacked with his sword and clashed with Hong Shurt-sung's destiny divine sword. His sudden attack really caught Hong Shurt-sung unprepared, and everyone present is somewhat dumbfounded. They can see that Qingyun did not attack just now because he wanted to give pointers to Heavenly Sword God. At this kind of time, he is actually giving pointers to others. This is truly shocking. The moment the two swords collided, divine power transformed into a gale that rushed out in all directions. Hong Shurt-sung only felt an incomparably heavy power. His sword-holding hand was shaken by that heavy power and became numb. Most dreadful thing is that his sword's blade seems to have cracked. Qingyun's seemingly casual sword strike contains formidable power. Moreover, the sword is also dreadfully heavy. Therefore, although it looks very casual, it is actually very deadly. Hong Shurt-sung's expression became somewhat fearful because he sensed a very dreadful killing intent. You look down on my sword, but you will die under my sword. I will let you know that you lost to my sword and not to me. Qingyun's sword suddenly swept horizontally towards Hong Shurt-sung's neck. Hong Shurt-sung promptly brandished his sword to block. Bang! The sword in his hand was instantly sliced apart by Qingyun's heavy sword. Together with his neck, it fell to the ground. Qingyun's two quick sword moves looked very casual and without any technique. It is not some profound sword art. However, they moved according to his heart and very naturally slashed out. Hong Shurt-sung has been directly killed. Even his Destiny Divine Sword has been destroyed. It means that he is completely dead. Everyone sucked in a mouthful of cold air. A sword condensed from divine power is actually so dreadful. Even a sword cultivator's destiny sword has been destroyed. Xiang Yunjian's face immediately became filled with anger and malevolence. He furiously shouted at Qingyun, "You bastard! You dare to kill someone who obtained Primal Chaos bloodline. I have killed Primal Chaos royal descendants, let alone Primal Chaos race's lackey." Qingyun indifferently said, "Best of three, quickly send people up and finish this quickly." Earlier, when Qingyun dodged Hong Shurt-sung's quicksword, everyone thought that Qingyun and Hong Shurt-sung should be evenly matched. But after these two sword moves, everyone realized that Hong Shurt-sung is not even worthy to carry his shoes. This is simply instant kill. If not for Qingyun wanting to teach that heavenly sword god a lesson, he would have already killed Hong Shirtsong with 2 sword moves. He would not have let Hong Shirtsong waste so much time. With Hong Shirtsong being hung up and beaten like this, how could Sword Sun God Mountain's young people dare to fight? Not to mention those young people. Even heavenly god elders would not dare to fight. You used poison. Xiang Junjian shouted again. Poison? Qin Yin coldly looked at Xiang Junjian. Your 9-son sect slandered me for using poison. It is only to give yourself a way out. When the Sword Hall elder saw Qin Yun's strength, he was completely convinced in his heart. He will no longer oppose him entering the heavenly palace. And at this moment, everyone is incomparably puzzled, because they are very clear that Qin Yun did not use poison at all. However, he is just a profound god. Why does he have such formidable strength? The Sword Hall elder promptly closed the barrier and said, Sword Sun God Mountain, please send your next disciple up. Xiang Junjian fiercely looked at Qin Yun and suddenly summoned 2 long swords. The 2 long swords in his hands, as soon as they appeared, they released a very powerful dragon aura. Those 2 swords, 1 gold and 1 silver, are engraved with dragon totem and sword totem. When Qin Yun saw the sword totem, his eyes immediately widened. He is very familiar with that sword totem because he was the one who carved it, and he also sensed a very familiar aura from those 2 swords. Those are Jian Ruyan's origin divine swords. Jian Ruyan's 2 swords actually fell into Xiang Yunjian's hands. Anger immediately rose in Qin Yun's heart, but he fiercely suppressed it. He almost couldn't control himself and rushed over. Xiang Junjian is at the sacred god realm. It would be very difficult to kill him in 1 move. At that time, he might even run away with the 2 swords. Qin Yun wants to take back Jian Ruyan's 2 swords first and then figure out the situation. Chapter 2177. Qin Yun's heart is in chaos because Jian Ruyan's twin swords are actually in Xiang Yunjian's hands. Jian Ruyan is his good friend. Because she lost him before, she recognized him as big brother, and he often calls her Sister Yin. This long-legged and valiant female sword cultivator has always been in the Guanghan Palace. Her strength is not weak, and she is together with Jian Linglong and the others. Therefore, her twin sword totems can evolve and strengthen. Qin Yun took a deep breath and tried his best to restrain himself. He will wait until he gets rid of Asun and retrieve the twin swords. He already thought that Jian Ruyan might be killed. Thinking of this, his heart is in chaos and he feels very uncomfortable. Ling Yuner said, Xiao Yun, calm down. Sister Yin will definitely be fine. She has always been in the Guanghan Palace and will definitely be taken care of by Mu Yu. The divine moon of the heavens will definitely protect her. Even if her origin sword is taken away, she will definitely survive. Ling Yuner is also comforting Qin Yun's heart that is about to explode. Asun is Xiang Yunjian's disciple. Maybe he also has primal chaos bloodline. Xiao Qin, be careful, Granny Qianghua said in low voice. Qin Yun has been looking at Asun, who is walking in. His calm, yet somewhat gloomy eyes are filled with a kind of sharpness. That kind of sharpness is incomparably sharp, as if it is flickering with a very strong, killing intent. Even Asun feels some pressure. However, he's holding a pair of very strong, divine swords in his hands, so his confidence is suddenly increased by a lot. As long as I get rid of you, these 2 swords will be mine. Sun laughed sinisterly. The clothes on his upper body suddenly shattered. Many runes appeared on his upper body. Is that a shield totem? He was born with a shield totem. Doesn't that mean he will have a very strong defense? Someone said in surprise. Right now, I am not afraid of any attack. Sun laughed loudly. Not afraid of any attack and having a pair of very strong swords in his hands is very terrifying. It means that he can attack with all his might without any scruples. After the barrier opened, the battle began. Asun laughed loudly and rushed towards Qin Yun. However, just as he took a few steps, a very strong supergravity pressed down on his body. Qin Yun is now using all his strength to release the most powerful supergravity. Sun is suddenly enveloped by an incomparably heavy power, and his body burst out with crackling sounds. Even though he has shield totem, it is not comparable to Qin Yun's formidable Nether Sun totem. Supergravity is released by the Nether Sun totem. Any shield totem's power will be directly destroyed. Sun, hurry up and attack, Xiang Junjian shouted. He was not inside the barrier, so he did not know how terrifying that supergravity was. The bones in Sin's body could be said to be mostly broken. Qin Yun's supergravity has a very strong penetrating power. When used together with the penetration divine ability, it can directly penetrate skin and flesh, severely injuring internal bones. Qin Yun arrived beside Sun in 2 steps. He snatched Sin's 2 swords and then infused them with powerful absolute yang divine power. Hua hua hua. The 2 swords danced wildly, and the sword chi roared like waves. It was furious, and it cut Sin's body back and forth. In the blink of an eye, Sun was turned into ashes. Everyone was tongue-tied. Sun seemed to be stronger than Hong Shirtsong, but before he could even make a move, he was turned into ashes. I'm going to kill you. Xiang Yunjian's eyes were bloodshot, killing intent surging as he roared. You dare! Sword Hall Elder shouted. Dragon Hall Elder, White Death, Granny Jasper Flower, Medicine King Qin, and other Qin family elders are now ready to attack. Sword Hall Elder did not remove the barrier. He is worried that Xiang Junjian would go in and kill Qin Yun. How did you get these 2 swords? These are other people's destiny, divine swords. Qin Yun said in cold voice. You care a lot about these 2 swords, right? Xiang Junjian suddenly laughed sinisterly and said, I know, that girl named Jian Ruyan is actually related to you. Qin Yun immediately held the 2 swords with both hands and put them away. Then he summoned the 9 desolate divine saber. What happened to her? Qin Yun asked. Her? Maybe she's dead? I did it. I snatched these 2 swords from her hands. Xiang Junjian laughed heartily. He can see that Qin Yun is very angry, so he constantly provoked Qin Yun. This girl is indeed a pretty good sword cultivator, but she met me, ha ha ha. Xiang Junjian swept his eyes over everyone and said with a loud laugh, You one-eyed dragon, seeing you so angry, I feel really good. That girl named Jian Ruyan said, She came from Guanghan Palace, but I am not afraid of some Guanghan Palace. Xiaoqin, he is deliberately provoking you. Don't listen to him. Granny Jasper Flower said. Qin Fei, you must calm down. Dragon Hall Elder promptly shouted. Sword Hall Elder did not remove the barrier. He is truly worried that Qin Yun will rush over. Xiang Junjian looked at Qin Yun and said with proud smile, If you have the guts, come and attack me. Although you are strong, I am still a sacred god. No matter how strong you are, you can't kill me. Not to mention you, even if all the old guys here join hands with me, they might not be able to kill me. Xiang Yunjian's 2 outstanding disciples have been killed. He is already extremely angry in his heart. Now that he can provoke Qin Yun, he feels extremely happy. Why did you attack her? Qin Yun's voice is incomparably ice cold. No reason, I just saw that she had 2 good swords, so I wanted to snatch them. After I snatched them away, she ran away. Without these 2 swords, she would most likely commit suicide. Xiang Junjian said with proud smile. Qin Yun's eyes suddenly became incomparably red. Heavenly eyes already opened. Qin Yun's anger is like the violent wrath of heavenly might. Incomparably bitter killing intent pervaded the barrier and already penetrated it. Xiaoqin, Big Sister Rian is not dead. She is still in Guanghan Palace. Qin Huayu suddenly shouted. I met her. She asked me many things about you. It's good that she is still alive. Qin Yun coldly looked at Xiang Junjian. His killing intent did not decrease at all. So what? Don't tell me you can kill me now. Help her vent her anger? Xiang Junjian laughed loudly and said, That girl, when I snatched her origin sword, she screamed in pain, ha ha. Xiang Junjian is standing outside the barrier. He laughed loudly at Qin Yun. He is a sacred deity. Moreover, he is one of the big shots of the 9 Sun sects. Moreover, he is a sword cultivator. Moreover, his cultivation is very high. Even if Granny Qianghua and other elders join hands, they would not be able to kill Xiang Junjian. Moreover, there are many juniors here. If Xiang Junjian goes berserk, all the juniors here might die. Qin Yun suddenly flew over. The 9 desolate divine saber in his hand crazily hacked down, unexpectedly splitting the barrier. What caused people to be most alarmed is that after the 9 desolate divine saber split the barrier, the power is still incomparably fierce and landed on Xiang Yunjian's body. Boom! At this moment, everyone is incomparably shocked in their hearts. The saber in Qin Yun's hand hacked down on Xiang Yunjian's body. Halfway through, it suddenly split open like a flower blooming. The 9 desolate divine saber burst out with formidable power, but it also suffered great damage. Furthermore, the surface of Qin Yun's body also split open. In some places, one can even see his dazzling golden bones. Qin Yun's body was actually torn apart by a formidable power. What kind of formidable power is able to tear apart his dreadful body? Qin Yun possesses the 9-son royal family's bloodline. He uses heavenly firm Dao technique and heavenly might tyrant body. He cultivates 9 extinction divine body technique, but his body is not strong enough. It cannot withstand his full power. Half of sacred god Xiang Yunjian's body has been split open. He is also seriously injured. He stared at Qin Yun's eyes and felt that they are incomparably familiar. He remembered the king of Pantheon. It's you. Xiang Junjian recognized Qin Yun and felt endless fear. Dragon Palace Elder and Sword Hall Elder immediately rushed over. They brandished their sabers and swords. Using all their strength, they fiercely hacked at Xiang Junjian, thoroughly ending his life. After killing Xiang Junjian, everyone here is looking at Qin Yun in a daze. Qin Yun waved his hand, collected all the fragments of the 9 desolate divine saber, and placed them inside the divine universe purple sun of the 9 sun, divine soul's first pearl to repair them. He indifferently said, "Imprison all the sword sun divine mountain disciples. Today's matter cannot be spread out." Although his tone is very calm, it is filled with a very strong majesty, as if he is ordering everyone present. Although it is as if he is issuing an order, even Granny Qianghua and Dragon Palace Elder don't feel any discomfort. It is as if it is a matter of course. Qin Yun arrived beside Qin Huayu, pulled her hand, jumped to the sky above the palace, and entered the heavenly hall. All the Sword Sun divine mountain disciples and middle-aged men have been captured and imprisoned. In the 9 sun divine palaces, old and young people still don't dare to believe the scene that just happened. If there was no barrier, maybe he could have killed Xiang Junjian with one saber strike. Dragon Palace Elder exclaimed in admiration. Xiang Junjian definitely did not expect that someone would be able to split the barrier, moreover with such dreadful power, so he did not have any defense. White Death said, "Who would have thought? None of us expected it." Sword Hall Elder sighed and said, "That brat is truly too dreadful." White Death looked at the sky above the palace and said with sigh, "It seems like only he has the qualifications to enter the heavenly hall." This everyone line up and sign the soul contract. Don't let today's matter leak out. We killed the Sword Sun Divine Mountain Sect Master. If news of this gets out, the Myriad Realms Divine Court will come looking for trouble with us. Granny Qianghua said. No one had any objections. They began to sign the soul contract. They will guard this secret to the death. Dragon Palace Elder patted Sword Hall Elder's shoulder and said with smile, "That brat is very powerful, right? You didn't see him jump into the hidden dragon arena and then jump back up, that kind of imposing manner. He is indeed very powerful. That guy Xiang Junjian, I didn't dare to attack him for many years. I didn't expect that he would lose half his life with a single saber strike." Sword Hall Elder recalled the scene just now and cannot help but sigh with emotion. Qin Yun brought Qin Huayu inside the heavenly hall. "Little Qin, are you all right?" Qin Huayu wiped away the blood on Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun burst out with formidable power, and his body could not endure it, causing his body to be torn apart. "I'm fine. Big Sister Qin, Is Sister Yin really in the Guanghan Palace? Qin Yun asked. Chapter 2178. As Qin Yun healed his injuries, he asked Qin Huayu about Jian Rian's situation. After learning about Jian Rian's situation, Qin Yun became even more furious. Jian Ruyan lost her origin sword. It can be said that she is in extreme pain, and this is even more of a mental torture. Because to sword cultivators, their origin sword is a part of their body. It is like their soul, and also like a companion. Qin Huayu does not know why Jian Rian was targeted by Xiang Junjian. She only knows that Jian Rian's condition is still stable, and she is immersed in sorrow all day long. Jian Rian's mood improved after knowing that Qin Yun had come to the divine desolate land. Big Sister Qin, I'm much better. I'm fine. Qin Yun said with a smile as he looked at the nine-sun divine mark on Qin Huayu's forehead. All right, you're so strong. You'll definitely be fine. I shouldn't be so worried. Qin Huayu chuckled. Qin Yun sent her out of the heavenly palace. At this moment, the little palace spirit suddenly appeared behind Qin Yun. Big brother Palace King, you've become even stronger in this life, the little palace spirit said. Her face is also filled with worry because Qin Yun's entire body was overflowing with blood earlier, and he looked very scary. Qin Yun said, I'm fine. The little palace spirit said softly, we can't let that Sword Sun Divine Mountain off. Not only that sect leader, all the people from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain are very despicable. Do you know the situation of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain? Qin Yun asked. I know a little. Back then, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain ambushed the sword cultivators of the Sword Hall time and time again. They like to snatch other people's origin, swords the most. The little palace spirit said with a face full of hatred. Although the Sword Hall knows about it, they can't do anything to them because they have the heavenly law divine realm behind them. Qin Yun became even more furious in his heart and said, it's not just the Sword Sun Divine Mountain that's so hateful, right? The other 8-9 sun sects are all the same. The little palace spirit's sweet face is filled with resentment and anger. They dare to attack the divine moon world's Guanghan Palace. It must be the primal chaos race and the heavenly law divine realm behind them. I have to become stronger quickly. Qin Yun planned to cultivate the third profound God Dao vein before setting off to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. This was not a long process for him, and he could probably cultivate it in 2 or 3 days. Big brother Palace King, you're only a profound god. How are you so strong? The little palace spirit was very curious and chuckled. In this life, you are even stronger than back then. Was it because he had cultivated so many divine, profound Tao images? Are they 9 divine, profound Tao statues? It should be 10. It's just that my 10th divine, profound Tao idol has yet to be completely formed. Qin Yun said, but so far I have only cultivated 9 complete divine Xian Dao images. There is a shadow of the 10th divine Xian Dao image, but it has not appeared. You have so many mysterious spirit Tao images. No wonder when you use formidable power, your body is torn apart. The little palace spirit took out a soft handkerchief and wiped the bloodstains on Qin Yun's body. She previously thought that the injuries on Qin Yun's body were caused by Xiang Junjian, but now it seems that it was caused by Qin Yun himself. That's right. I thought that after I recovered the 9-son royal family bloodline, my body would be strong enough. Qin Yun shook his head and smiled. His current physical body was indeed strong enough. The reason why it was still torn apart is mainly because of the 9 desolate divine saber and heaven-trampling divine boots. Even so, he has roughly reached the upper limit of his body. At most, he can only endure 1 more Xian divine Tao meridian. He only hoped that the nameless old man would arrive quickly and give him the 9-son heavenly race's bloodline divine origin. If he obtained the 9-son heavenly race's bloodline divine origin and fused with it, his body would definitely become stronger and he would be able to endure opening the 4th and 5th Xian divine Tao meridian. Although he is only at the Xian god realm, his strength is definitely comparable to ordinary heavenly gods. Only the heavenly gods of those powerful races cannot be defeated by him. Those legendary, peerless ancient races have yet to appear. But Qin Yun knows that those powerful ancient races will descend upon the divine desolate sooner or later. That will be his strongest opponent. Qin Yun used 2 days to completely recover from his injuries. After recovering, he did not go to see Bai Si and the other higher-ups. Bai Si and the others all wanted to see Qin Yun, especially the Dragon Palace elders, Sword Palace elders, and the elders of the other palaces. They all wanted to carefully investigate his situation and know why he is so strong. Of course, Qin Yun also maintained a certain distance from them and asked the little palace spirit to help him. The little palace spirit contacted Bai Si and the Dragon Palace elders, telling them not to disturb Qin Yun. Night. The little palace spirit teleported Qin Yun to the roof of the 9 Yang Divine Palace. There is a platform here, and Qin Yun is currently opening a bee skin formation. That bee skin formation can communicate with the divine moon of the heavens. Not long after, Qin Yun contacted Little Phoenix. Brother Yun, the 9 Yang Divine Palace is back, do you know? Little Phoenix immediately said, I haven't heard much about you in this period of time. I'm in the 9 Yang Divine Palace. Qin Yun said, Sister Yin, what happened during this period of time? This. Little Phoenix is also very sad and told Qin Yun about the general situation. Jian Ruyan's accident happened recently. Not long after Qin Huayu went to the Guanghan Palace, Jian Ruyan was ambushed when she went out. Even Lu Yu and Shu Yin only found out about this recently. The Guanghan Palace has already sent people to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain to investigate the situation and prepare to start a war with them. As for the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, they did not take it to heart. The sect master of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, Xiang Junjian, even brought people to the 9 Yang Divine Palace to challenge the Sword Hall. Little Phoenix, Xiang Junjian has been killed. Sister Yan's 2 swords are also in my hands. Qin Yun said, I will go take care of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Little Phoenix is stunned. She understood that even if the Guanghan Palace wanted to attack the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, they would still have some misgivings. The main reason was that the Sword Sun Divine Mountain had a deep relationship with the other 9 Suns sects, as well as the Heavenly Law Divine Realm and the Primal Chaos race. Furthermore, the Myriad Realms Divine Court would definitely stop this kind of war. Then now, should our Guanghan Palace still attack the Sword Sun Divine Mountain? Little Phoenix doesn't doubt Qin Yun's words at all. In her heart, she worshipped Qin Yun even more. He actually helped Jian Ruyan take revenge so quickly. No need, I will do it. Who is in charge of the Guanghan Palace now? 9 Sun Divine Maiden. Who is in the Guanghan Palace? 9 Sun Divine Maiden is not in the Guanghan Palace. The one in charge of the Guanghan Palace's affairs is Sister Xianqin. The ones going to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain are Sister Yu Qing, Sister Suyao, Sister Qingyu, and Sister Qiaofeng. They are only temporarily going to scout the situation. Contact them and tell them to wait for me near the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Qin Yun said. Long Yu Qing, Lan Suyao, Lu Qingyu, and Long Qiaofeng are all very strong women. After they scout the situation, they will continue to send women who are even more proficient in fighting. For example, Yu Wulan, Tian Ruling, Yi Yaoxue, Yu Feng, and Xue Dai. Then Lu Yu and Shu Yan will lead them to fight. Qin Yun naturally wants to take the lead in this kind of matter. He and the Sword Sun Divine Mountain have a new and old enmity. I will immediately inform Xianqin. Brother Xiao Yun, you must be careful. Last time you fought against Primal Chaos race and even offended Thunder God. We are very worried about you. Little Phoenix said, It's fine. Your brother Xiao Yun is not that weak. Qin Yun said with smile. After Qin Yun cut off contact with Little Phoenix, he suddenly recalled that only Lu Yu and Shu Yan can contact those 9 Sun Divine Maidens. Xiaoxi's mission has been completed. That Heaven Creation Palace Master Yu Tian's mission has also been completed. What else do they want to do? Could it be that they have a new mission? Qin Yun is even more curious. He is not worried about these 9 sun divine maidens. They are all protected by myriad heavens divine moon and myriad worlds divine Sunday. That girl Uma must know that I am in myriad heavens divine desolate. But she did not come to find me. She must be tied up by that mission. Qinyan also wants to see Xiao Yuanmei as soon as possible. Little palace spirit, I want to go out for a while. I might return at daybreak. Qinyan said. Little palace spirit also knows that Qinyan wants to attack the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. He must make ample preparations. Qinyan entered Qin Yao King City and found Dog God and others. What caused him to be somewhat surprised is that Evil God also arrived at Qin Yao King City. Evil God learned about Qin Fei's matter and immediately rushed over. It was Dog God who received him. Qin Yun is inside Wild Beheader Manor's secret room. He is looking at these few gods. Although they're not very strong, they are very reliable. At least they won't betray him. Boss, you came in the middle of the night. Is there some important matter? Evil God asked. I am preparing to attack the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. How much do you know about the current Sword Sun Divine Mountain? Qinyan said. On the way here, I found out that the Sword Sun Divine Mountain is about to refine a peerless divine sword. Therefore, I invited many sects to come and see the birth of the divine sword. Evil God said. I also heard about this matter. It is said that the Sword Sun Divine Mountain refined the myriad world's divine sun's power. Dog God nodded and said, even the myriad world's divine palace is paying close attention to this matter. Moreover, that one-armed sword god will be accompanying the divine martial judge. One-armed sword god is none other than Xie Wufeng. Boss, it's not a good time for you to attack the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Divine Martial Judge, Elder Pavilion Master, Sword God, they're all going to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain to watch the birth of the Divine Sword. Furthermore, the other 9 suns sects, Heavenly Law Divine Realm, Outer Heaven Alliance Army, Mutated Dragon Race, Dark Royal Race, and many other powers have all gone. God said. They all knew about the grudge between Qin Yun and the 9 suns sects, so they did not ask Qin Yun why he wanted to attack the Sword Sun Divine Mountain now. Qin Yun quickly calculated in his heart. He is also rather apprehensive towards the Divine Martial Judge and the other powers. However, when he thought about how Jianrian was plotted against by the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, he couldn't care less. He must destroy the Sword Sun Divine Mountain as soon as possible. When will their divine sword be born? Qin Yun said. That's perfect. I'll go and directly seize their divine swords. The Sword Sun Divine Mountain snatched Jianrian's 2 swords, and Qin Yun wanted to snatch their divine swords. All right, boss, if you want to do it, then we will do our best to help you. Vigor God said. I will come back to find you. You guys prepare first. Qin Yun nodded. Chapter 2179. After Qin Yun returned to the Nanyang Divine Palace, he immediately asked the Little Hall Spirit to contact the Dragon Palace Elders and have them leave Xiang Yunjian's head. The majority of the Sword Sun Divine Mountainess were sword cultivators. They all knew the importance of the origin sword-to-sword cultivators, and they were also considered righteous sects, but they had to snatch the origin sort of sword cultivators everywhere. This was no different from a demonic cultivator. The 9 Suns sects had received the protection of the 9 Suns back then. Even now, the myriad realms' divine suns would still provide them with a certain amount of help. However, these sects had pledged their allegiance to the evil forces of the natural law divine realm and the primal chaos race, committing crimes in the divine wasteland. If not for the matter of Jianrian's dual swords being snatched away, Qin Yun would not have known that the Sword Sun Divine Mountain had actually fallen to such an evil level like the evil devil sect. Even if it wasn't for Jianrian, Qin Yun would definitely eliminate this evil sect. Little Hall Spirit, what's going on with the Sword Sun God Mountain? I heard that they are about to have a peerless divine sword appear in the world. Moreover, it is refined by the Sword Sun Divine Mountain using myriad realms' divine sun. Qin Yun is in seclusion inside the Heavenly Palace Pagoda. Because the Little Palace Spirit was a palace spirit, she could appear anywhere in the Nanyang Divine Palace. After hearing Qin Yun's question, she suddenly appeared in Qin Yun's training room. Big Brother Palace King, the 9 Sun sects all have their own treasured lands. Those treasured lands have always been connected to the 9 Suns. Even the current Myriad Realm's Divine Sun sends power to those treasured lands. Little Palace Spirit said, Myriad Realm's Divine Sun doesn't know about the 9 Suns sect situation. Qin Yun said with a frown, That's impossible. Back then, my 9 Sun sect was destroyed by the other 8. Even the treasure land was destroyed. The 9 Suns should have sensed it. The Little Palace Spirit said, When the Myriad Realm's Divine Sun communicated with me, I reflected on this matter. I don't know if the Divine Sun heard it or not. All right, no matter what, an evil sect like the Sword Sun God Mountain should be eliminated. Qin Yun said, It wasn't just the Sword Sun God Mountain, the Dao Yang Divine Sect, and the Heavenly Mountain Tyrant Sun. The 2 sects of the 9 Suns had been chasing after the Star God. Qin Yun had long wanted to kill them. The Tyrant Sun Heavenly Mountain and the Dao Yang Divine Sect will definitely send people to the Sword Sun God Mountain to see the birth of the Divine Sword. When the time came, Qin Yun also planned to kill the other people from the 9 Sun sects. Of course, he had to wait until he opened up his 3rd profound God Dao Meridian before he knew exactly how to do it. The 3rd profound God Dao vein was more crucial. He still did not know what kind of profound God Dao vein he would open. Opening different profound God Dao veins would give him different amounts of divine power. Little Palace Spirit, after I break through, I will have to leave the 9 Yang Divine Palace for a period of time. During this period of time, pay more attention and prevent other powerful races from attacking. Qin Yun said, Yes. The Little Palace Spirit nodded. Seeing Qin Yun cultivating with his eyes closed, she suddenly disappeared. Qin Yun's opening of the profound God Dao Meridian could be said to be relatively fast. It wouldn't take long for him to open it. This was mainly because he possessed the mystical heavenly Dao divine runes, and had also cultivated the heavenly Dao divine runes into his Dao avatar, allowing him to have an extremely high comprehension ability. The stronger one's comprehension ability was, the faster one would be able to open the profound God Dao Meridian. To open up the profound God Dao Meridian, one needed to comprehend the profoundness of all kinds of different energies. That was an extremely illusory thing. One needed to combine one's lifetime of cultivation experience, summarize it, and understand all kinds of different divine powers. While Qin Yun was comprehending, he had unknowingly come into contact with some kind of mysterious power. This meant that his 3rd profound God Dao vein was gradually becoming clearer and gradually appearing. Not long after, Qin Yun felt a very powerful Dao power suddenly surge out from his illusory space. That Dao power surged out from his mind and soul. The power of the Dao appeared and formed the 3rd profound God Dao vein. As the endless stream of Dao power surged out, the 9 Yang divine veins also became extremely active, absorbing the power of the Myriad Realm's Divine Sunday. The power of the Dao could not be used directly. It had to be fused with the divine power of the Myriad Realm's Divine Sunday. After these 2 powers fused, they would turn into a very strong, profound God power. Xiao Yun, I become very strong. Ling Yun suddenly said in pleasant surprise, The 3rd profound God Dao vein was cultivated by me. Ha ha! How strange. What kind of existence is this divine, profound Dao image of yours? Qin Yun really could not understand why Ling Yun was a divine, profound Dao image and had his own thoughts. Existence is reasonable. When you cultivate my spirit body, I will be a living, profound God Dao image. The most beautiful, profound God Dao image. Ling Yun said with a happy smile. Qin Yun seriously felt the power brought by the 3rd profound God Dao vein. At this moment, his body and soul were connected to the illusory Dao through the profound God Dao vein, which could bring him an unending stream of Dao power. When the Dao power entered the body, it would continue to strengthen the divine, profound Tao image. Then, when it merged with the divine power brought by the myriad realms' divine sun, it would allow the profound God to obtain a strong power. Of course, Qin Yun's situation was rather special. His Xian Shan power was very strong, mainly because he cultivated the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra and had a lot of divine, profound Tao images. As for why there were so many divine, profound Tao images, he felt that it might be because he cultivated the 9 Extinction Heart Sutra, as well as possessed the 9 Yang divine veins and the 9 heaven veins. And the most mystical thing was the 10th divine, profound Tao image. Even Qin Yun himself felt some fear towards the 10th divine, profound Tao image. Inside the secret room, Qin Yun continuously increased the amount of divine power he released. He wanted to see the limits of what his body could endure. After trying for a while, he discovered that his body was in obvious pain and it was a kind of tearing feeling. If I don't use Yunner's little nether sun's divine power, 9th desolate divine saber, and heaven-trampling divine boots, when I release the strongest absolute Yang divine power, my body will feel a tearing pain. Qin Yun's brows are tightly wrinkled. Then he withdrew the formidable absolute Yang divine power. If he were to open the 4th profound God Dao vein, his body would definitely not be able to hold on. Big Brother Palace King, someone called Dog God is looking for you. Little Palace Spirit suddenly appeared beside Qin Yun. He said it's something very important. Bring him here. Qin Yun said, Yes, sir. With a thought, Little Palace Spirit teleported the Dog God to this secret room. Dog God was directly teleported away from the 9 Yang Divine Palace. He was not surprised at all because he knew that Qin Yun is the 9 Yang Palace King. Within the 9 Yang Palace, he naturally has the highest authority. Dog God, how are your preparations? Qin Yun asked. Everything is ready. Dog God said, Boss, that nameless old man is here. He wants to find you, but he doesn't dare to enter the 9 Yang Divine Palace. He also doesn't dare to enter the Qin Yao Royal City. He sent people to the Wild Beheader Villa to inform me. Let's go, we will go find him. Qin Yun is pleasantly surprised. Maybe the nameless old man has already obtained the 9 Sun heavenly race's bloodline divine origin. This is truly timely help. Little Palace Spirit teleported Qin Yun and Dog God to a balcony outside the 9 Yang Divine Palace. Then they flew out of the 9 Yang Divine Palace. 9 Yang Divine Palace has its own spatial law system, so it can be easily teleported. If they teleported outside, they would need Little Ant Queen's spatial power. After Qin Yun obtained the Divine Universe Purple Sun, Little Ant Queen didn't need to use Divine Universe Golden Stone to condense space Divine Power Pearl. She can directly absorb the Divine Universe Purple Sun's power. This means that if Qin Yun uses the Heaven Leaping Shuttle, he will be able to travel through space within the Divine Desolate. What made Qin Yun feel relieved is that the 9th Desolate Divine Saber that was severely damaged before is now gradually recovering inside the Divine Universe Purple Sunday. He secretly feels that the 9th Desolate Divine Saber is very mystical. It can be said that it is undying and indestructible. As long as there is enough energy, it can be restored. Qin Yun is very ignorant about how to use the 9 Desolate Divine Saber. When he holds the saber, he unknowingly instills the strongest power in his body into the Divine Saber. It can be said that when he uses the 9 Desolate Divine Saber, he feels as if his body is being hollowed out. That saber must be very powerful. Qin Yun and Dog God arrived at a secluded place outside the city. The people gathered outside the Qin Yao Royal City all left one after another. They all rushed to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain to join the fun, because the Sword Sun Divine Mountain is about to give birth to a very powerful divine sword. Reportedly, the divine sword will not completely belong to the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. It will be refined by the myriad realms' divine sun through the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. When the time comes, they can snatch it. Nameless Old Man is wearing a conical bamboo hat. After seeing Qin Yun arrive, he chuckled and said, Little friend, let's talk somewhere else. Qin Yun took out the floating cloud pagoda and entered with the nameless old man. The dog deity stood guard outside. Nameless old man took out a box and said, "This is our 9-son heavenly clan's bloodline, divine origin. It is our 9-son heavenly clan's method of passing down our bloodline to outsiders. Most of the other powerful clans also use this method to pass down their bloodline to outsiders." "Then what is the quality of the bloodline you pass down to outsiders?" Qin Yun asked. He met Hong Shirtsong and Asan before. They both have primal chaos bloodline, but in his opinion, they're not very good. "Don't worry. This is definitely the best bloodline our 9-son heavenly clan can pass down to outsiders. This we agreed on a price before. Now we have to increase it a bit." Nameless old man laughed and said. Qin Yun gave the old man 2 divine universe golden stones to express his sincerity and promised to give him 8 more after the matter is done. But now the old man changed his mind. "Senior, you are bullying an honest man. Wait, I remember we signed a soul contract before." Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "Don't tell me you want to act shamelessly." Nameless old man chuckled and said, "Of course not. I am also an honest man. We are all honest men, so we will definitely not bully each other, right?" After saying that, the old man took out another box and said with a smile, "There's also bloodline divine origin inside, but it is quite inferior." Chapter 2180. Qin Yun really wanted to give this nameless old man a good beating. He actually dared to trick him, the Nine-Yang Palace King. "Senior, you're not being honest." Qin Yun snorted. Although he doesn't lack those 50 divine universe golden stones, he was still tricked by the other party, even though he is also an old fox. "How am I not being honest? Didn't I mark the price clearly? Our previous contract didn't say whether the bloodline divine source is good or bad." The nameless old man said, "Hurry up and make your decision. The 9-Yang heavenly race's bloodline can only be fused once. Therefore, when fusing, he naturally chooses the best. In order to choose the best, Qin Yun can only buy the best. Wait, before the transaction, you have to sign a soul contract with me. I guarantee that the 50 bloodline divine source will be the best." Qin Yun shook his head and sighed. "I am an honest person. I am really afraid of being bullied. I hope Senior doesn't mind." "It's all right. We are all honest people. I can understand," the nameless old man said with a chuckle, and then signed a soul contract with Qin Yun. After signing, Qin Yun took out 58 divine universe golden stones and handed them to the nameless old man. He said, "I'll also buy that inferior bloodline divine source. Is that okay?" "Okay." The nameless old man gave the 2 bloodline divine sources to Qin Yun and then counted the divine universe golden stones. He asked doubtfully, "Little friend, you have a lot of divine universe golden stones. Did you get them from the hands of those heavenly emperors and heavenly mothers?" Qin Yun said, "Those heavenly emperors and heavenly mothers don't have a lot of divine universe golden stones. Only 1,000. To be honest, I really lack your bloodline divine source. If you ask for 500, I will have to bite the bullet and buy it." "What? You really have that many divine universe golden stones?" The nameless old man's eyes widened. He felt like he had just lost hundreds of millions of divine universe golden stones. If he knew that Qin Yun was so rich, he would have really dared to ask for 500. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Yes." Then he took out a handful of divine universe golden stones, causing the nameless old man's eyes to pop out. The nameless old man immediately pounded his chest and stamped his feet, looking very uncomfortable. After Qin Yun infuriated the nameless old man, he felt a lot better. This was because he had previously signed a soul contract. It was stated in the contents that after the transaction was completed, they were not allowed to harm or rob each other. Therefore, even if the nameless old man wanted to snatch it, he couldn't do it. "Senior, thank you for giving me such a precious gift," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Little friend is indeed an honest person. You expose your divine universe gold stone so easily," the nameless old man said with a displeased look. Senior is an honest man. I am naturally not afraid of Senior robbing me. Qin Yun said with a smile. The nameless old man curled his lips and said, Forget it, forget it. We'll learn from experience. Honest people like us are used to being scammed. Senior, what do you think about the divine sword appearing on Sword Sun God Mountain? Asked Qin Yun. At the mention of this matter, the nameless old man also became serious and said, Little friend, the reason I came here this time is also to tell you about this matter. That divine sword is not simple. How is it not simple? Qin Yun promptly asked. As far as I know, the divine sword is formed from sun seed. This kind of weapon is even stronger than a weapon formed from sun soul. The nameless old man said, When the time comes, there might be people from powerful ancient races who will take action to snatch it. Other powerful ancient races will also participate. A divine weapon formed from a sun seed and created by the myriad realm's divine sun. It must be a very powerful divine weapon. Qin Yun said, I heard that the divine sword is named Myriad Heaven Divine Sword, so I also want to snatch it. Little friend, do you want to go? The nameless old man said, I won't blindly get involved in this kind of matter. After all, my strength is limited and I'm not good at fighting. It's better for me to honestly increase my strength first. Qin Yun said, How could he not go? He had to go. When a nameless old man heard Qin Yun say that he is not good at fighting, he secretly despised Qin Yun in his heart. Who doesn't know that he is very fierce when fighting? All right, up to you, the nameless old man said. After Qin Yun sent off the nameless old man, he told Dog God and others to wait for him in Qin Yao Royal City. After obtaining the 9-sun heavenly race's bloodline divine source, Qin Yun immediately returned to the 9-sun divine palace. He wants to quickly fuse with the 9-sun heavenly race's bloodline divine source and cultivate a powerful body. Before fusing with the bloodline divine source, he contacted Little Phoenix. Little Phoenix told Qin Yun that the Guanghan Palace's operation has changed. Moreover, 9-sun divine maiden Bing Xing, Xiao Yuelon, and Lu Shuyan will be rushing to the Sword Sun God Mountain. On one hand, they want to settle the score with the Sword Sun God Mountain. On the other hand, they want to go after the Myriad Heaven Divine Sword. Sister Bing Xing is also going. That's great. I haven't seen her for a long time. Qin Yun also misses Bing Xing. He entered the secret room and began fusing with the 9-sun heavenly race's bloodline divine source. He bought 2 bloodline divine source. The second quality one is for Ling Yuner to cultivate her spirit body. After Ling Yuner becomes a spirit, she will definitely stay by his side. In times of emergency, he will need her to come out and fight. Therefore, Qin Yun plans to give her the 9-sun heavenly race's bloodline divine source. Furthermore, he feels that if Ling Yuner has a powerful body, she might become even stronger. After all, Ling Yuner is a Nether Sun Dao spirit and a divine profound Dao image. Qin Yun spent more than 10 days to fuse with the 9-sun heavenly race's bloodline divine source. The nameless old man previously told Qin Yun that because he already has the 9-sun royal family's bloodline as a foundation, the 9-sun heavenly race's bloodline will only strengthen the 9-sun royal family's bloodline. It will not make his bloodline stronger. It is equivalent to upgrading the 9-sun royal family's bloodline, so the strengthening is limited. Even so, Qin Yun is still very satisfied. At least he can use all of his absolute Yang divine power without feeling any pain. This should be enough for me to open the 4th Xian divine Dao meridian. Qin Yun sighed in his heart. It will be very difficult for me to quickly strengthen my body. Without bloodline fusion, he can only cultivate his body slowly. 9-sun divine palace's upper echelons heard that the Sword Sun God Mountain's divine sword is about to come into being and also plan to go to the Sword Sun God Mountain to take a look. Moreover, Sword Hall Elder and Dragon Hall Elder are going together. Back then, they had a part to attack the Sovereign Sword, but now they're going to the Sword Sun God Mountain to watch the divine sword come into being with a clear conscience. Little Palace Spirit said with smile, Big Brother Palace King, why didn't they call you? After Qin Yun found out, he shook his head and smiled. These two guys must be worried that I would go and mess around, so they didn't call me. Little palace spirit, I will leave temporarily. It will take some time before I return. I will protect this place. Little palace spirit said with charming smile. After Qin Yun was teleported out, he immediately went to the wild beheader villa. Dog God, evil God, Hercules God, mine God, and ox God. The five of them are already waiting for Qin Yun. During this period of time, they have advanced by leaps and bounds. Most importantly, after Qin Yun sealed their god positions with divine King Heavenly Seal, they can absorb myriad realms' divine sun's divine power even faster. Furthermore, Qin Yun gave them pointers in cultivation and also passed on some 9 Yang divine palace spirit cultivation methods to them. After leaving the city, Qin Yun took out the heaven-leaping shuttle and flew towards the Sword Sun God Mountain along with Dog God and others. The journey is rather long. If they fly directly, it will take them 1 or 2 months to arrive. Fortunately, Qin Yun has little Ant Queen Space Divine Power Pearl. After absorbing the Space Divine Power Pearl's energy, the heaven-leaping shuttle can travel through space. Although it can only travel a certain distance each time, it can travel several times in a row and reach the Sword Sun God Mountain even faster. Dog God, during this period of time, how is the Myriad Realms Divine Court's investigation on Thunder God? Qin Yun asked. Heaven Creation Divine Palace's people came to investigate. Thunder God indeed has a lot of evidence, but he refuses to admit it no matter what. Thunder God's strength is very strong. Myriad Realms Divine Court's Divine Judge and Elder Pavilion Master still haven't punished Thunder God. Dog God said. Qin Yun coldly groaned and said, that Divine Judge promised me that he would strip Thunder God's God position. Then where is Thunder God now? Thunder God is sealed in the Myriad Realms Divine Court. Now, many people in the Myriad Realms Divine Court are plotting something. They are waiting for Thunder God to be stripped of his God position and then snatch it away. Dog God said. Qin Yun said with frown, the process of stripping away God position should be very complicated for them, right? It's not that easy to strip away. If Qin Yun used Divine King Heavenly Seal, it would be a lot easier. Indeed, that's why it's still unclear. Thunder God won't have a good time from now on. Dog God said. Qin Yun nodded. Let's see that Divine Judge's determination. Dog God suddenly said in deep voice, Boss, there's a rumor in the Heavenly Law Divine Domain style that the sealed Thunder God is only a clone. That's why the Divine Judge hasn't dealt with him yet, because no one knows where the real Thunder God is hiding. Thunder God's clone? Qin Yun said with frown. Impossible. When I saw Thunder God, I could sense the Thunder God position on his body. I can also sense it. Maybe Thunder God found a way to split the God position into 2. Dog God said. I also heard that Divine Judge was threatened by Thunder God. Thunder God's clone said that if Divine Judge dared to execute Thunder God's clone, Thunder God's main body would kill him. Love God was a clone, so it was also possible that Thunder God was a clone. This news came from inside the Heavenly Law Divine Realm. Qin Yun said with a frown. Is it reliable? I can't be sure either, but I feel that if Thunder God really does have a true body, he might be a heavenly emperor and one that has obtained a primal chaos bloodline. Dog God said. He deliberately spread the news in the Heavenly Law Divine Realm to put pressure on the Myriad Realms Divine Court. Qin Yun suddenly felt that for Thunder God to be able to survive until now, it was not that easy to topple him. If Thunder God really did have a powerful true body, then he would definitely be very strong. Let's go to the Sword Sun God Mountain first. If Thunder God really does have a true body, he might also want to snatch that divine sword, Qin Yun said. Chapter 2181. Qin Yun's main goal is the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. The Sword Sun God Mountain could be considered a treasure land bestowed by the 9 suns back then. Even now, the Sword Sun God Mountain could still receive a lot of power from the Myriad Realms Divine Suns. Qin Yun wanted to see what was going on with the Sword Sun God Mountain. He wanted to know why it could absorb such a large amount of energy from the myriad world's divine sun and refine a myriad heaven divine sword. Could it be that the main reason for the existence of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain is to forge swords? Qin Yun was very puzzled. Boss, the myriad heavens divine sword won't come out anytime soon. I've asked around carefully. The first person to spread this news was someone from the Sword Sun God Mountain. The dog deity said, originally, they planned to keep it secret, but due to certain reasons, the Sword Sun God Mountain's strength was simply unable to do so. Let the godly sword come into being. That's why they deliberately invited so many factions to witness the birth of the divine sword. Qin Yun frowned as his expression changed drastically. Could it be? Seeing Qin Yun's expression, dog deity and the others looked terrified. Boss, what is the Sword Sun God Mountain trying to do? Evil God hurriedly asked. The guy from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain wants to use a group of people to sacrifice to the sword. Qin Yun inhaled a mouthful of cold air and said, some swordsmiths will use a large amount of blood when forging swords. Moreover, it must be very strong blood. This, generally speaking, it's the swordsmith's own blood. Then who forged this myriad heaven's godly sword? Could it be the myriad world's godly sun? Qin Yun shook his head and said, probably not. In short, this matter is more complicated than I thought. The Sword Sun God Mountain has invited so many experts to witness the birth of the divine sword. They must be up to no good. The heaven-leaping shuttle shuttled through space. Qin Yun and company were discussing what to do after reaching Sword Sun God Mountain. Just as they were seriously discussing, the heaven-leaping shuttle suddenly began to shake violently. We are under attack, Qin Yun said in a deep voice. Prepare for battle. Hercules and Ox God immediately prepared for battle and took out their equipment. Qin Yun hurriedly controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to dodge. Above the heaven-leaping shuttle, there was a huge red flying ship. The flying ship looked very sturdy. Its entire body was covered in fiery red hard armor. Those armor pieces looked like dragon scales. The giant ship also had a pair of huge fiery wings. Upon closer inspection, one could see that the pair of huge fiery wings were not refined. Instead, they were cut from some kind of powerful divine bird. It's a battleship, Dog God shouted in alarm. And it's a very powerful one. The fiery red warship floated high in the sky. There was a huge mirror on the flat bottom of the warship. The light from the mirror could directly seal the heaven-leaping shuttle. The heaven-leaping shuttle couldn't move at all. Even if it used a very powerful spatial divine power, it couldn't penetrate through space to escape. Boom! At the bottom of the fiery red warship, there were several huge holes. The things that were shot out were not crossbow bolts or spears, but giant swords that were more than 10 meters long. The giant swords flew down and smashed into the heaven-leaping shuttle like giant pillars. Now, the heaven-leaping shuttle could only rely on its own protective barrier to defend itself. Although Qin Yun strengthened the heaven-leaping shuttle's defense, it is still very limited against this kind of powerful battleship. Dog God, can you see the origin of this battleship? Qin Yun released the 9 sun altars. The 9 altars became very small. There are divine dragon carvings on their surface. It looks like small dragons are coiling around the pyramid-shaped altar. The altar formed a circle in the heaven-leaping shuttle's main control room. Qin Yun opened the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. The formation's power rushed out and enveloped the heaven-leaping shuttle, forming an even more powerful defense. The heaven-leaping shuttle surface is already cracking. If it continues to be attacked, it will surely break into pieces. Now that the situation has stabilized, Qin Yun feels a lot more relieved. The fiery red warships, giant swords, are still shooting down. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation's defense is very strong. The protective barrier it released can directly send the giant swords flying. This is not a battleship controlled by a faction we are familiar with. I have seen Outer Heaven Domain Alliance's battleships and Variant Dragon Race's battleships. They're not like this. They are also not this powerful. Dog God said. Dog God is inside the control room. His expression is grave as he looked at the fiery red warship above the heaven-leaping shuttle. Unless, let me go out and sense that aura. Dog God said, no need to go out. I will directly draw in the aura from outside. Qin Yin finished speaking and immediately controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to absorb the berserk aura. Not long after, the control room became filled with all kinds of tyrannical aura. Sensing this aura, Qin Yin, Dog God, and the others are extremely apprehensive. This aura is very dreadful. According to the analysis of the energy, it is mostly Myriad Realm's divine sun power. It's a very strong sword aura, the Dog God said. Where did these people come from? I have never heard of them. Dog God said. Qin Yin wanted to control the heaven-leaping shuttle to fly away, but the heaven-leaping shuttle is being illuminated by the mirror. It seems like I can only counterattack. Qin Yin took out the divine King Spear. Although the divine King Spear is a small handgun, its power is very dreadful. Moreover, it can be used together with the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. Qin Yin is standing inside the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. The small handgun in his hand suddenly trembled. 9 light beams shot out from the formation and entered the small handgun. This kind of situation, I can only use disposable bullets. Although Qin Yin can refine some bullets that can be recycled, there are certain conditions for recycling them. As for disposable bullets, they usually possessed extremely powerful destructive power. They were refined by fusing divine universe goldstones with a large amount of solar flame liquid and many other divine-grade materials into the pill-melting heavenly furnace. Whether it is piercing power or explosive power, these bullets are very strong, therefore they are very precious. Qin Yin very rarely uses them. The small handgun can release even stronger firing power through the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. A small opening suddenly appeared on the control room of the heaven-leaping shuttle. The small handgun absorbed the Nine-Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation's power and shot out a light beam. This light beam is very strong. It can directly penetrate the barrier of the fiery red warship and hit the mirror, opening a path for the bullet. Then, he fired another bullet. Divine Space Destruction Bullet Fire. Qin Yin took out a very precious bullet. The bullet followed the light beam and directly passed through the barrier and hit the big mirror at the bottom of the fiery red warship. Boom! The fiery red warship's mirror immediately shattered and burst into a fierce flame. The fiery red warship is 1,000 meters long and the mirror is 100 meters wide. But now only the mirror has been destroyed. The warship's hull has not been pierced. Qin Yin promptly controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle and distanced itself from the fiery red warship. He has already realized that there are many powerful people inside the fiery red warship. The warship's strength has already surpassed his understanding. The heaven-leaping shuttle quickly pierced through space. Qin Yin thought that he has already escaped, but he discovered that there is something chasing after the heaven-leaping shuttle. It is 3 10-meter-long giant swords. They can actually pierce through space and chase after the heaven-leaping shuttle. What the hell is this thing? How can it be so scary? Dog God said in shock. They have very strong sword aura, and their weapons seem to be sword type. Could it be that they also came for the Myriad Heaven Divine Sword? Mind Spirit said with frown. I wonder if there are people inside those swords. If we can capture one alive, we can ask Mind Spirit about their origin. Bull God said. Qin Yin also has this kind of idea, but now he has to get as far away from the fiery red warship as possible. Once he is far away from the warship, he will attack the 3 swords. It seems like the appearance of the Myriad Heaven Divine Sword has drawn out many powerful people. Dog God sighed and said, just how many unknown and formidable existences are hidden within the heavens. Primal Chaos Race's strength already caused Dog God and others to feel despair. And now the people who suddenly appeared are in no way weaker than Primal Chaos Race. Qin Yin has heard of Divine Moon Race, Divine Star Race, Divine Heaven Race, and 9 other Divine Race. He suspects that the fiery red warship belongs to one of these powerful ancient races. Xiao Yun, maybe they are not here for the myriad heaven divine sword. Ling Yun suddenly said, not here for the myriad heaven divine sword. That is, Qin Yun suddenly thought of his divine universe, purple Sunday. The matter of the myriad heaven divine sword is just a convenience to them. Your main target is probably the divine universe, purple sun. Ling Yun said. When Qin Yun obtained the divine universe, purple sun, he felt that it might release some kind of fluctuation and then be sensed by others. If it is truly related to the divine universe, purple sun, then Qin Yun wants to capture someone and ask them clearly. After confirming that he is far away from the fiery red warship, Qin Yun immediately left the heaven-leaping shuttle. At the same time he flew out of the shuttle, the dragon altar also flew out. It suddenly became incomparably large, like 9 mountains revolving around it. The 9 gigantic altars with dragon carvings formed a circle. The altars shot out rays of different colors and instantly formed a huge net. The altar descended, and the giant net descended, trapping the 3 giant swords that were chasing after it. Qin Yun modified the sun altar and turned it into the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. He also has many ways to use the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. Just now, it was the 9-dragon heavenly net formed by the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. The 3 swords were pressed down on the ground by the net and unceasingly burst out with formidable power. They wanted to struggle free from a 9-dragon heavenly net, but failed. These guys are underestimating the enemy. Qin Yun laughed. Then he increased the power of the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation, making the 9-dragon heavenly net attack the 3 swords like thunder and lightning. After the runes on the surface of the 3 swords were destroyed, their defense was instantly broken. The swords were also torn apart, and it can be seen that there are cabins inside. Someone is controlling the swords inside. After the 3 youngsters came out, they instantly turned into 3 swords and pierced through the 9-dragon heavenly net and stabbed towards Qin Yun. Chapter 2182. It's not like Qin Yun has never seen swords transform into humans. However, most of the time, the sword cultivates a sword spirit and then uses the sword to cultivate a human form. Moreover, the 3 swordsmen that flew over were not existences like the sword spirits. If they are sword spirits, they usually have a master. Only by cooperating with their master can they release even stronger power. The 3 swordmen in front of Qin Yun do not have a master. They are all independent existences, but they can release very strong sword power. Furthermore, their transformed swords are also very powerful. Otherwise, they would not be able to break the 9-dragon heavenly net. Qin Yun immediately fired 3 bullets from the pistol in his hand. Those bullets are the ones he refined not long ago, the kind that can be recycled. This kind of bullet has very strong perception and penetrating power. After being fired, it can follow Qin Yun's consciousness to lock onto the target and accurately hit the target. Bang, bang, bang. 3 bullets quickly shot towards the 3 flying swords and collided with each other, creating a burst of sparks. The 3 swords were sent flying by the bullets and were shaken quite far away, but there is no damage on the surface. The sword power of these 3 swords have very strong defensive power. Qin Yun is extremely alarmed and no longer used bullets to attack. If the 3 great gods were hit by those bullets, most likely their heads would be penetrated, and those 3 swords can be blocked by their sword power. Even if Qin Yun continued to use bullets to attack, it would not have any effect and would only be a waste of bullets. Qin Yun used Heaven Extinction Step and promptly dodged. One of the swords shot out like a beam of light and almost hit Qin Yun's body. After Qin Yun dodged, he immediately rushed to the center of the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation. He stood at the center of the formation and activated it. Boom, boom, boom. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation let out 9 dragon roars. The violent, divine universe dragon power condensed into lightning and formed a very strong barrier. The 3 swords saw that the situation is not right and wanted to break the barrier, but failed. This time, don't even think of running. Qin Yun controlled the formation to shoot out lightning and entangled the three swords. Qin Yun originally thought that he would be able to take down the three swords like this, but he still underestimated them. When the three swords were bound by lightning, they suddenly fused together and turned into one sword. After the three swords merged into one, a powerful sword aura erupted. The sword aura condensed into an earth-shattering sword shadow that broke free of the lightning chains. It seemed to have captured the lightning released by the nine dragons' heavenly origin formation and condensed it into a giant lightning sword. The sharp sword aura was accompanied by violent lightning as it pierced towards Qin Yun, who was in the middle of the array at lightning speed. Break! The nine altars shone with golden light as the power of the myriad world's divine sun surged into them. At the center of the nine dragons' heaven origin formation, waves of energy surged as dragon power raged. The golden mist that surged out from all directions turned into 9 huge dragons that rushed over and engulfed the lightning sword. At the same time, Qin Yun blocked the lightning sword. He also discovered that the sword had already broken through the barrier and flew out. Don't even think of running. Qin Yun waved his hand and put away the 9 dragons' heavenly origin array. He took out the floating cloud staff and used the light transformation sacred pupil to catch up in the blink of an eye. Boom! The floating cloud staff ferociously smashed down. Absolute Yang divine power surged out violently and exploded out through the floating cloud staff. Its might seems to be able to tear apart the blue dome of heaven. After the sword was ruthlessly struck by the floating cloud staff, the sword aura condensed into a rain barrier and directly shattered. The sword aura surged out like a myriad of sword shadows. Die! The sword coldly shouted. That cold shout was shouted by 3 people at the same time. The sword suddenly disappeared, leaving behind a faint spatial fluctuation. Qin Yun is greatly alarmed. He did not expect that the sword could actually travel through space. He suddenly felt that the sword deliberately flew away to lure him into pursuing it. The instant the sword disappeared, Qin Yun promptly activated the ability of the 9 Sun Divine Soul's first bead, Sun Heavenly Shield. The purplish-red Sun Heavenly Shield appeared. The sword pierced through space and collided with the Sun Heavenly Shield, causing a burst of incomparably dreadful fluctuation. It caused a 100-meter-wide crack to appear on the ground below. Qin Yun felt his arm go numb. The 9 Sun Divine Soul is on his wrist. Just now, he tightly clenched his fists and let the 9 Sun Divine Soul release the Sun Heavenly Shield to block that dreadful attack. I won't let you run away again. 9 altars appeared again. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation was completed in a flash and surrounded the sword. The sword's voice came out and said with sneer, "With just this bit of ability, you can't keep us here. Ignorant thing, you think you can take us down, but you don't know that in our eyes, you are already dead. You sword people are truly arrogant." Qin Yun activated the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and set up a formidable barrier. The sword trembled and let out a loud laugh. "The arrogant ones are ignorant and insignificant fools like you. Who is ignorant and who doesn't know power, you will know very soon." Qin Yun controlled the 9-dragon heavenly origin formation and continued to channel energy to strengthen the barrier. He wants to seal the sword. "Fool, you truly don't know how powerful we are." The sword's 3 voices laughed loudly and said, "Even Myriad Realm's divine sun has to be somewhat courteous in front of us. Yet you, a fool born from Myriad Realm's divine sun, are actually so arrogant. I think you have never died before. I have died several times and killed many bastards like you who provoked me," Qin Yun said with sneer. Within the spirit formation, the sword started to tremble violently. It was releasing a powerful energy. The 9-dragon heavenly origin formation's power is very formidable. It has Divine Universe Golden Stone as its energy source. Divine Universe Golden Stone is very rare in Divine Desolate. However, Qin Yun has quite a few in his hands, so he naturally doesn't feel any heartache. The sword has already been gradually suppressed, and found it difficult to move. Let's see how you can still be arrogant. Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, "You are dead for sure, huh?" The sword laughed loudly and said, "You will know very soon." At this moment, a very dreadful power suddenly rushed over. This kind of power is filled with boundless might. It descended from the sky. Not good. Qin Yun promptly controlled the nine-dragon heavenly origin formation and released a very strong defensive barrier. At the same time, he released Sun Heavenly Shield through the nine-sun divine spirit. Boom! A golden lightning bolt carrying incomparably tyrannical and berserk divine power pierced through the space and directly struck the Sun Heavenly Shield. The power that suddenly appeared can also shuttle through space. Moreover, it is very berserk and contains the formidable divine power of myriad realms. Divine Sunday. Qin Yun was hit. Although he was blocked by the Sun Heavenly Shield, his body was still blasted into the ground and sunk deep into the ground. The nine-dragon heavenly origin formation did not seal the sword in order to defend. After the sword jumped out, it immediately stabbed towards a hole in the ground. Qin Yun has already been stabbed more than 100 meters into the ground by the impact of the power. When the sword stabbed towards the hole, Qin Yun's blood and qi churned. He never expected that such a formidable power would suddenly sneak attack him, and it came so quickly. If not for the protection of the Sun Heavenly Shield, he would have already been blasted into dregs. That sword man is here again. Qin Yun cursed in his heart. He can only use the nine-sun divine spirit to release the formidable Sun Heavenly Shield. Boom! The sword stabbed into the 100-meter deep hole in the ground. It originally thought that it would be able to kill Qin Yun, but it was once again blocked by the Sun Heavenly Shield. Berserk power collided and exploded 100 meters underground. Immediately, a large amount of soil flew into the air. In the blink of an eye, an incomparably huge crater appeared on the ground. "You won't be able to hold on for long," the sword shouted. At this moment, Qin Yun once again sensed the formidable power from earlier. What caused him to be shocked is that this power actually came from Myriad Realms' divine sun. The formidable thunder and lightning condensed from Myriad Realms' divine sun pierced through space and directly struck down. Earlier, the sword man said that even if Myriad Realms' divine sun met him, they would have to be somewhat courteous. Qin Yun thought that the sword man was just spouting nonsense. He never expected that it would actually be true. Moreover, the sword man can even mobilize the power of Myriad Realms' divine Sunday. Earlier, when the heaven-leaping shuttle was attacked, Qin Yun and Dog God sensed a very strong power of Myriad Realms' divine sun accompanied by a sword aura. What exactly is he fighting with? Qin Yun is completely dumbfounded. Myriad Realms' divine sun's power bombarded down. Qin Yun could only release the Sun Heavenly Shield to block. What made him feel at ease is that the divine universe Purple Sun's power is very dreadful. The Sun Heavenly Shield it released is very powerful and can block the attack of Myriad Realms' divine Sunday Swordman. I'll let you see how strong my nine desolate divine saber is. After Qin Yun blocked the thunder and lightning from Myriad Realms' divine sun, he promptly summoned the nine desolate divine saber from inside the divine universe Purple Sunday. He swung his saber horizontally at the sword that was thrusting towards him. Boom! An incomparably berserk vibration accompanied by a ferocious heavenly might aura landed on the sword, causing it to let out a loud cry. Heavenly Extermination 9 style, Heavenly Quake. It seems like it has the power to shake the vault of heaven. It seems like the sword has discovered the dreadfulness of the nine desolate divine saber. Qin Yun did not expect that the nine desolate divine saber would become so powerful. The divine universe Purple Sun helped the nine desolate divine saber recover a lot. Of course, the nine desolate divine saber has not completely recovered. Yushi will have to open the Bloodline Heavenly Pattern box first. The thunder and lightning from Myriad Realms' divine sun attacked again. And this time, the sword accompanied the berserk thunder and lightning as it charged towards Qin Yun. Who's afraid of who? Qin Yun held the saber in one hand, the nine-sun divine soul released the sun heavenly shield with the other. He vigorously brandished the sun heavenly shield with his arm and directly used a powerful shield attack to block the thunder and lightning swordman's attack. This ferocious collision caused the earth within several hundred li to shake like a surging ocean. After the swordman was sent flying, Qin Yun used the light transformation sacred pupil to chase after him. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye. His bloodshot eyes allowed him to obtain an incomparably formidable power. This kind of power seems like it could destroy everything. The ability of heavenly eye allows Qin Yun to erupt with incomparably formidable blood-soul power. Blood-soul power is the fusion of Qin Yun's formidable absolute yang divine power, mental power, and body power. The appearance of blood-soul power means that he has to condense runes. Heavenly Eye's ability allows the blood-soul power within Qin Yun's body to quickly transform into runes and burst out. Chapter 2183. After the swordman was hit, he let out a painful scream. A swordman letting out a painful scream. Moreover, it is a scream made by 3 people at the same time. This is very strange. So what if it's Myriad Realms' divine sun's power? In the hands of trash like you, it can't unleash any of its power. Qin Yun's eyes are filled with boundless heavenly might that looks down on the heaven and earth. The nether sun inside his body is frantically releasing power. The swordman, sensed Qin Yun's even more dreadful power. Just as he was about to flee, Qin Yun suddenly dropped down and stomped on him. It must be known that Qin Yun is wearing heaven-trampling divine boots. When he stomped down, he burst out with heaven-trampling might. The swordman became even more afraid. Thunder and lightning condensed by Myriad Realms' divine sun attacked again. Qin Yun waved his hand. Sun heavenly shield appeared and very casually sent the thunder and lightning flying. Who are you? The swordman finally realized that the person in front of him is very difficult to deal with. He is much stronger than the people they killed before. You are not worthy to know. Qin Yun's 9 desolate divine saber erupted with formidable divine universe purple energy. This rich divine universe purple energy is something 9 desolate divine saber obtained from divine universe purple Sunday heaven extermination 9 style setting sun. This saber chopped down, its aura is as dreadful as a falling red sun. Divine Universe Purple Sun's power combined with 9 desolate divine saber allowed Qin Yun to unleash this move without restraint. Boom! The saber chopped down on the sword body and directly defeated the swordman's power. The sword split open and overflowed with a large amount of golden red glowing blood. The sword suddenly split into 3 light balls and turned into 3 people. Qin Yun summoned the 9 altars and condensed 3 seals. He inserted them into the 3 people's bodies and sealed the power within them. After the battle, Qin Yun secretly rejoiced that he fused with the 9 sun heavenly race's bloodline. Otherwise, he would have to flee in a sorry state. He looked at the 9 desolate divine saber in his hand. Its cracked surface is overflowing with runes that look like flowing blood. It's been hard on you, old 9. Qin Yun stored the 9 desolate divine saber back into the divine universe purple Sunday. He looked at the Myriad Realms divine sun in the sky and muttered to himself, why can this guy mobilize Myriad Realms divine sun's power? Qin Yun floated in the air and looked down to the ground. He was astounded. He never expected that the battle from before would flatten such a large mountain range. He hurriedly returned to the heaven-leaping shuttle. Dog deity, mine god, and the others inside the heaven-leaping shuttle looked at Qin Yun with reverence in their eyes. They knew that Qin Yun was very strong, but they never expected him to be this powerful. They were unable to estimate how strong Qin Yun was at the moment. They only knew that Qin Yun's cultivation was still at the profound god realm. The profound god was already so strong. If he became a great god, wouldn't he be able to beat up the sacred god? They even felt that if the sacred deity was not on guard, she would most likely be killed by Qin Yun. It was indeed so. Previously, Xiang Junjian was a sacred god. Because he was not on guard, he was almost killed by Qin Yun's saber. Then, he died under the frenzied attacks of the Dragon Palace elders. The three swordmen were captured. They were quite speechless. They were a very powerful race. Before they came to the God Wasteland, they already knew that the humans in the God Wasteland were very weak. Along the way, they met many humans from Deity Desolate, and they were indeed very weak. Later on, their battleship sent something that could travel through space, so they wanted to capture it and take it for themselves. They never expected that Qin Yun, who was inside the heaven-leaping shuttle, would be so terrifying that he could shatter their spatial divine mirror. That was why they sent 3 powerful swordmen to chase after him. Inside the warehouse of the heaven-leaping shuttle, the 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation trapped the 3 swordmen in the middle. They were all sealed individually, and they were severely injured, unable to resist. His mind used his ability to ask the 3 swordmen. "Where are you from?" his mind asked. "We are from the heavenly sword domain." A swordsman answered him. He had already been beaten black and blue by the ox god and was currently in a trance. Heavenly sword domain? Qin Yun and company looked at each other in dismay because they had never heard of this heavenly sword domain. "Who are you people?" his mind asked again. "We are from the divine sword race. We have the bloodline of the divine sword in our bodies. We are a powerful ancient race." The swordsman replied. "Then why did you come to the God Wasteland?" his mind asked. "Because we want to obtain the myriad heaven divine sword. Only our divine sword race has the qualifications to possess the myriad heaven divine sword." The swordsman said. Qin Yun said, "Ask him about the matter of sword sacrifice." His mind immediately asked the swordsman, "Does the myriad heaven divine sword need to be sacrificed with blood?" The swordsman replied, "Of course. The sword sun divine mountain is the sword sacrifice pool. It requires a large amount of powerful blood to refine the powerful myriad heaven divine sword. This means that many people will die at that time." Ask him again, "Why did the myriad heaven divine sword appear?" Qin Yun asked. His mind promptly asked. The swordsman replied, "This is a divine weapon refined by the myriad realm's divine sun over 100 years ago. Its main purpose is to display its formidable power to the God Wasteland and make us submit to it." "What will happen if we obtain the myriad heaven divine sword?" his mind asked. "I don't know. It's possible that we will be able to control the divine power of the heavens." The swordsman replied, "Then why did you attack us?" When his mind thought of this, he became very angry. "Because you are all fools born from the myriad realm's divine Sunday. We are only capturing you as prey." Before the swordsman finished speaking, he was smashed to pieces by Vigor God's fist. Qin Yun promptly took out Jianrian's sun and moon twin dragon swords. The blood of these divine sword race people is very strong. It is very good to use it to refine the sun and moon twin dragon swords. There are still 2 swordsmen left. His mind also asked them some questions. These swordsmen actually use humans from the God Wasteland as sacrifices. In other words, they killed many people before. What they did not expect is that in the end, they would be used by Qin Yun as sacrifices. These 3 guys said that they are very powerful sword kings and war gods in the divine sword race. Their status should not be low. Dog God said. Qin Yun also asked those swordsmen why they can mobilize the power of the myriad realm's divine Sunday. The result caused Qin Yun to be very surprised. The swordsman said that the myriad realm's divine sun takes very good care of the ancient race. As for the reason, the swordsman doesn't know. After killing the swordsman, the heaven-leaping shuttle flew very carefully. Earlier, it was because the heaven-leaping shuttle used very strong spatial divine power that it created such a large fluctuation. It was sensed by the divine sword race's battleship and was attacked. This time, Qin Yun is very careful. He restrained most of the spatial fluctuation and shortened the distance of each teleportation. Although this is very complicated, it can very steadily reach the vicinity of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. The Sword Sun Divine Mountain is tens of thousands of feet tall. At the peak of the mountain, one can touch the stars. This mountain looks like a very short and thick, huge sword descending from the sky. So, it looks a bit like a cauldron. Rumor has it that this is a sword cauldron. Qin is not unfamiliar with the Sword Sun Divine Mountain at all, even though he saw it many years ago and often went to the mountain peak. However, seeing it with his own eyes, he still feels very shocked. From the ground, it is impossible to see the mountain peak. In the vicinity of the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, there are many huge flying battleships flying past. Those flying battleships are thousands of meters long, but in front of the huge mountain, they seem very small. The heaven-leaping shuttle finally arrived at the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Around the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, there are many large and small flying ships, as well as huge palaces and islands floating in the air. More than half of the people from the various powers have already arrived. Qin also saw the fiery red battleship. The fiery red battleship attacked the heaven-leaping shuttle before, and the large mirror at the bottom was shattered. It has not been repaired yet. What surprised Qin is that the surroundings of the fiery red battleship seem to be very lively. The divine sword race is like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon, surrounded by many flying behemoths. It seems like this divine sword race is a very powerful ancient race. Qin maintained a distance from the huge ship inside the heaven-leaping shuttle. At this moment, he suddenly felt something standing on the heaven-leaping shuttle. The outer appearance of the heaven-leaping shuttle is a few meters long white jade gourd. Because it was attacked before, Qin turned it into a black turtle. This kind of flying magic tool is the smallest here. Little friend, it's me. The person standing on the heaven-leaping shuttle spoke. It is the nameless old man. Qin is rather surprised that the nameless old man can recognize the heaven-leaping shuttle. He immediately brought the nameless old man in. He saw that the nameless old man is holding a soul-chasing talisman in his hand. Didn't you say you wouldn't come? Why are you here again? The nameless old man chuckled and said, You also want to see that myriad heaven divine sword, right? Qin said with a smile, Yes, this news has spread throughout the divine desolate. I was also attracted by it, so I came to take a look. The nameless old man patted Qin's shoulder and said, It seems like you have fused with your bloodline, divine source. You are quite strong. Qin only smiled and asked, Senior, have you heard of the divine sword race? Ah, you know of the divine sword race? The nameless old man said in shock. Qin told Dog God and the others not to speak and not to expose the matter of him killing the divine sword race. I heard about it, Qin said with a smile. It seems like Senior also knows about it. This divine sword race is very strong. I am really surprised that this group of swordsmen came this time. The nameless old man said. Then are you their match? Qin is in the main control room. He looked at the dazzling fiery red battleship in the distance. The nameless old man curled his lips and said, Of course we are not weaker than them. Some guys are really something. After knowing that the divine sword race is a powerful ancient race, they eagerly went over to kneel and lick their boots, especially those guys from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. How many powerful ancient races have come this time? Qin asked curiously. I don't know for now. Some powerful ancient races are very low-key, like us. Currently, the only high-profile, powerful ancient race is the divine sword race. The nameless old man said, Let's not talk about it anymore. I will go investigate and see what powerful ancient races have come. Senior, can you tell me the results of the investigation? Qin asked. Chapter 2184. After the nameless old man was teleported out, he angrily kicked the heaven-leaping shuttle twice and shouted, It's free, all right? I'll look for you when I have news. Senior, I will have to trouble you, Qin said with smile. At this time, the dog deity and the others also proposed to go out and investigate the situation. Dog God and the others were gods, so they had a good understanding of the gods of the myriad worlds god court. They wanted to go out and see what kind of gods had come. Thunder God had many subordinates in the divine court of myriad worlds, and they weren't under house arrest. If they were all here, Dog God would be able to find them. With the help of his mind, he would be able to get a lot of information out of them. Be careful when you go out. Don't be too ostentatious, Qin Yun warned. He had also refined some divine talismans for Dog Deity and the others, which could conceal them and allow them to flee. Their main purpose was to protect themselves. The heretic god especially liked that kind of divine talisman. To him, it was the best life-saving item. After Dog Deity and the others left the Skyleap shuttle, Qin Yun took out the soul-chasing talisman. That soul-chasing talisman belonged to Bing Xing. Qin Yun wanted to see if Bing Xing was nearby. The soul-chasing talisman reacted, but according to the light emitted by the soul-chasing talisman, Bing Xing was still quite far away from him. It was not around the Sword Sun God Mountain. Sister Bing Xing isn't here yet? Qin Yun looked at the spirit-chasing talisman and said doubtfully. Little Phoenix said that Sister Bing Xing will go to the divine court of myriad realms first and come together with Sister Shuyan. If she took the ship of the divine court of myriad realms, she should have arrived long ago. Inside the heavenly shuttle, Qin Yun was waiting for Dog Deity and the others. The gods of the divine court of the myriad worlds usually took the ship of the divine court of the myriad worlds and traveled through space. If a portion of gods came, but Bing Xing and Luiyue Shuyan did not come, Qin Yun would have to contact Little Phoenix and ask about the situation. It didn't take long for Dog Deity to arrive outside the sky-leaping shuttle. Boss, only the weaker gods of myriad realms' divine court have arrived. Most of the strong gods have not arrived yet, Dog God said. Qin Yun used the soul-chasing talisman to estimate the distance. Bing Xing and Luiyue Shuyan are currently not in the myriad realms' divine palace. They should be on the way, Qin Yun said. The myriad realms' divine court is still very strong. The god punishment flag in the hands of the god judge is a very powerful thing, Dog Deity said. They might have encountered some problems on the way. That's why they haven't arrived yet. Qin Yun got Dog God to continue gathering information while he cultivated inside the heavenly leaping shuttle. He wanted to cultivate the fourth profound god, Dao Meridian. Previously, in the battle with the three swordmen of the divine sword race, Qin Yun used a lot of equipment to defeat them. This was mainly because his own strength was not strong enough. He had come to flatten the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. Coincidentally, the Sword Sun Divine Mountain was forging a divine sword, which attracted many experts. Qin Yun knew very well that if he did not have sufficient strength, it would be very difficult for him to achieve his goal. Sword Sun Divine Mountain, you stole Sister Yan's origin sword. I won't let you off. Qin Yun looked at the huge and majestic Sword Sun Divine Mountain. His gaze is ice cold. Qin Yun was meditating on the fourth mystic divine, Dao Meridian. No matter what kind of divine, profound Dao image he cultivated, Qin Yun would be able to obtain a very powerful divine power. After he fused with the Nine Yang heavenly race's bloodline divine origin, his limit was to open 5 profound god Dao Meridians. I wonder how strong I will be if I have 5 profound god Dao Meridians. Qin Yun could only roughly estimate that he could defeat a sacred god without a strong race bloodline. If it was a sacred god with a strong race bloodline, he did not have absolute confidence. The people from the ancient races were still very strong. For example, Qin Yun had to use a lot of effort to take down the 3 swordmen from before. Since the divine sword race had come, the other ancient races would definitely come as well. Qin Yun felt that this was a good opportunity for him to roughly understand the strength of the various ancient races. Furthermore, since the myriad realms divine court had come, they would definitely prevent a conflict from breaking out here. Perhaps he would be able to understand how powerful the divine judge of the myriad realms divine court was. Qin Yun had always hidden his identity because he did not know how many strong races there were in the divine desolate land. Back then, he was beaten up by a child from the primal chaos race, and that was still fresh in his memory. And would the strongest primal chaos race people appear? Qin Yun also did not know. From the bottom of his heart, He was looking forward to the appearance of the powerful primal chaos race. At the same time, he was also somewhat afraid. He looked forward to the appearance of the powerful primal chaos race because he wanted to defeat them. Only by doing so could he completely eliminate the fear in his heart. I will try my best to cultivate the fifth profound God, Tao Meridian, during this period of time. Qin Yin could feel an indescribable pressure. When he closed his eyes to cultivate, it was difficult for him to calm down. His eyelids kept twitching. This was a very uneasy feeling causing mischief. Qin Yin tried hard for a long time, but was unable to calm down. Then, he opened his heavenly eye and muttered, "I feel uneasy. Did the heavenly eye sense a threat?" The heavenly eye could see through many things, so it naturally had an extremely powerful perception. He walked out of the heaven-leaping shuttle and stood on it. He secretly used the heavenly eye to check his surroundings. After careful inspection, he did not discover anything. At most, he could see that the Divine Sword race's fiery red warship had a very strong energy aura lingering around it. Just as Qin Yin was feeling puzzled, a very strong star power surged from the sky like a tide. Qin Yin immediately raised his head and looked at the sky. He saw dozens of powerful energy balls falling from the sky. At first, he thought that something was going to fall, but then he realized that those energy balls are all stars. When those huge stars approached the ground, their speed suddenly slowed down. He saw more than 30 beautiful stars floating in the sky. Those round stars are not particularly large. At most, they're the size of a large island. However, the energy that erupted out is very strong. Qin Yin used his heavenly eye and saw that the energy aura mainly came from the myriad realm's divine Sunday. At this moment, the nameless old man arrived. "Senior, where are those stars?" Qin Yin asked. "That's the divine star race." The nameless old man said in a deep voice, "The divine star race is truly powerful. The divine sword race only sent one warship, but the divine star race sent 36 star masters." Qin Yin said, "Other than the divine star race, are there any other strong races?" The nameless old man looked around, shook his head, and said, "You feel the presence of other strong races?" "I don't know. I just feel very uneasy. It's hard to calm down." Qin Yin said, "It seems to be a sense of danger." The nameless old man placed his hand on Qin Yin's shoulder. With a solemn expression, he transmitted his voice. "Little friend, you have the heavenly eye. If your sense of danger comes from the heavenly eye, that means that there might be some powerful guy that made your heavenly eye extremely vigilant." Qin Yin's heart jumped. He asked with sound transmission, "What could it be? Is it a powerful ancient race?" "I don't know, but my guess is that it might be someone from the Divine Sky race. They are hiding very well." The nameless old man suddenly sighed and said, "You shouldn't have come here." "Divine Sky race?" Qin Yin heard the nameless old man talk about this powerful ancient race before. "Is the Divine Sky race very strong?" Qin Yin asked. "I don't know. I only heard that the heavenly Tao that created the heavenly law divine realm came from the Divine Sky race. Even the current heaven creation divine palace is related to the Divine Sky race." The nameless old man said, "I will go investigate again." After the nameless old man left, Qin Yin returned to the heaven-leaping shuttle. He thought for a moment, then bid farewell to the dog deity and the others and temporarily left the Sword Sun Divine Mountain. He found a quiet and uninhabited place and released the floating cloud pagoda. After entering the floating cloud pagoda, Qin Yin seemed to feel much more relaxed. "Looks like there's a very powerful guy near the Sword Sun Divine Mountain." Qin Yin believed the nameless old man's words even more. His heavenly eye could sense danger. That was why he was unable to calm down. Now that he was a bit further away from the Sword Sun Divine Mountain, that feeling had disappeared. Could it be that I'm not being targeted, and it's just that the heavenly eye instinctively sensed danger? Qin Yin shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He closed his eyes and began cultivating, calmly opening up the Xian Shun Tao Meridian. He needed to open up all the Xian, Shun Dao Meridian in order to step into the great God realm and grasp even more power. Qin Yun believed that once he stepped into the great God realm, even if he met a sacred god from a strong race, he wouldn't be beaten up. What made him more confident was that he had 10 divine profound Dao statues in this life. Although the 10th divine profound Dao statue had yet to appear, it meant that he had the potential to become even more powerful. This kind of potential was very important. Of course, there was also a huge drawback, which was that the requirements for the physical body were extremely high. Qin Yun needed to fuse with the bloodlines of various powerful races in order for his body to be strong enough to withstand the opening of 10 Xian Shun Dao Meridians. Now, he already had the bloodline of the Nine Sons royal family and the bloodline of the Nine Sons heavenly clan. Next, he didn't know how to obtain the bloodline divine origin of other powerful races. Unknowingly, Qin Yun's divine cauldron Dao image gradually changed and suddenly spewed out a very strong Dao power. This is the divine cauldron Dao image opening up the Xian Shun Dao Meridian. Qin Yun was secretly delighted. This meant that it would be more convenient for him to use the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron and the Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron. And the Heavenly Lion Dragon Suppression Cauldron would also become stronger because of this. After opening the 4 Xian Shun Dao Meridian, Qin Yun could feel his strength clearly increase. If it was now, those 3 swordmen would definitely not be my match if they attacked me together. Qin Yun's breakthrough this time also took a few days. He took out the soul-chasing talisman and looked at the location of Bing Xing and Liu Shuyan. They were quite close to him. They finally arrived near the Sword Sun God Mountain. Qin Yun felt a lot more at ease. He hurriedly put away the soul-chasing talisman and walked out of the floating cloud pagoda. Just as he walked out, he saw a young man dressed in black holding a large sword. This young man's long hair draped over his shoulders. His cold gaze carried a very powerful arrogance, as if he didn't care about anything in the world. The moment Qin Yun walked out of the floating cloud pagoda, he felt a very strong sense of danger. Especially the heavenly eye, it directly appeared. As expected, the heavenly eye was obtained by you. The black-clothed young man smiled disdainfully. Who are you? Qin Yun took a step back and returned to the floating cloud pagoda. Chapter 2185. Shen Ruoming's cold and arrogant eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. He said with a light sneer, "It seems that I have underestimated you. You actually know about the existence of the divine heaven race." Qin Yun could tell that this person called Shen Ruoming definitely had some understanding of him. After he calmed down, he said with a smile, "There are many people who look down on me. You don't have to take it to heart. You can even look down on me all the time. Since you can obtain the heavenly eye, I really shouldn't underestimate you. But you are indeed too weak right now. If you want me to think highly of you, it will be very difficult." Shen Ruoming said with a disdainful smile, "Come out, don't hide inside. If I wanted to kill you, you would have already died." Qin Yun laughed loudly. "If you really want to kill me, the one who will die will only be you." Shen Ruoming laughed a few times. "Possessing the heavenly eye, you think that you have something to rely on. It's very normal, very normal. But let me tell you, obtaining the heavenly eye is nothing. Don't think too highly of yourself, or you will die very miserably. Let me also tell you, the heavenly eye is indeed nothing. I have never taken it seriously. You naturally don't know how strong I am. If you want to know how strong I am, then you might die very miserably." Qin Yun said with a smile. Shen Ruoming sneered a few times and said, "It seems like you are very hostile towards me. This is also very normal because deep in your soul, hatred towards us has long been branded. Your hostility towards us is also within expectations." Qin Yun's heart stirred. This Shen Ruoming seems to know about him. When he was the Nanyang Palace King, he was confused for many years and wanted to know where he came from. Qin Yun walked out of the floating cloud pagoda and turned it into a floating cloud rod. The The sword in Shun Ruoming's hand suddenly trembled inside the scabbard. An invisible sword aura secretly surged in all directions. A gale suddenly roared. The world is filled with cold, killing intent. Qin Yun and Shun Ruoming looked at each other. Qin Yun has already controlled his heavenly eye to close. His clear eyes are very calm. Shun Ruoming's hand is already on the sword hilt, as if he is about to pull it out. Qin Yun's powerful divine sun heart suddenly trembled. He knew that once the sword was unsheathed, it would definitely be extremely powerful. Shun Ruoming held his breath and stared into Qin Yun's eyes. He had already gripped the hilt of his sword tightly. The sword that was trembling in the scabbard suddenly calmed down, but the power of the sword became stronger, like a raging storm. Qin Yun's heart and breathing seem to have stopped, but the power in his body is surging. A formless heavenly might aura is secretly colliding with Shun Ruoming's sword aura. When Shun Ruoming sensed Qin Yun's heavenly might aura, his eyebrows pricked up slightly. His hand also left the sword hilt, and the sword aura suddenly dissipated. The surging divine power within Qin Yun's body also calmed down. His divine sun heart resumed beating, and he began to breathe normally again. "You do have some strength," Shun Ruoming said. "Why don't you draw your sword?" asked Qin Yun with a smile. "When I pull out my sword, someone will definitely die. Either you die or I die. There are only two outcomes," Shun Ruoming said. "Oh, in that case, you're not drawing your sword because you are afraid you will die?" asked Qin Yun. Shun Ruoming let out a long laugh and said, "You are wrong. After I draw my sword, the one who will die will definitely be you. I didn't draw my sword because I didn't want to kill you. If I don't want to kill you, why should I draw my sword? Is that so? If you don't want to kill me, then why did you have the intention to draw your sword just now?" Although Qin Yun is staring at Shun Ruoming's eyes, his attention is focused on the sword. Shun Ruoming did not answer. Instead, he asked, "Did you come here to snatch the myriad heaven divine sword? If that's really the case, then it won't be too late for me to draw my sword." "Myriad heaven divine sword? I really didn't come for this thing. I don't need this kind of thing." Qin Yun smiled casually. "Don't tell me you came for this thing?" Shun Ruoming is startled, then said with a smile, "You are truly an extremely arrogant person. In your mouth, the myriad heaven divine sword is this kind of thing, and that kind of thing. Do you really not know how strong the myriad heaven divine sword is?" Qin Yun said with a bright smile, "So what if it's strong? Sooner or later, I will be able to forge such a powerful divine weapon. Of course I won't take it to heart. You guys can't forge a powerful divine weapon. Even if you have to fight until your brains bleed, you still have to snatch it, right? It seems like not only are you arrogant, you are also ignorant. No wonder you are so disdainful of the myriad heaven divine sword." Shun Ruoming snorted and said with a smile. Suddenly, Qin Yun sensed a very familiar aura. Bing Xing has arrived. A clear and cold wind blew over. A woman wearing a snow-white, long dress slowly flew over. As her long dress fluttered, elegant white multicolored mist floated about, making her look even more beautiful and refined, elegant and holy. The beautiful but cold woman landed leisurely beside Qin Yun. Her beautiful eyes that were filled with coldness suddenly revealed a hint of tenderness. Although the tenderness is very faint, it is very warm and enchanting. Especially from Qin Yun's point of view, it warmed his heart. Bing Xing has arrived. After she glanced tenderly at Qin Yun, her eyes immediately became bone-piercingly cold as she looked at Shun Ruoming. Shun Ruoming slightly frowned. He felt a bone-piercing cold and said, "The divine daughter who obtained the power of Ice Sun." "Divine heaven race people, please leave this place," Bing Xing said coldly. Shun Ruoming lightly inhaled and said to Qin Yun, "It seems like I really underestimated you. I didn't expect you to be together with a 9-sun divine daughter." Qin Yun really wanted to tell him that the 9 beautiful 9-sun divine daughters have an extremely good relationship with him. Qin Yun did not tell Shun Ruoming but he suddenly hugged Bing Xing's jade waist and kissed her beautiful and cold face. Bing Xing's expression is still as cold as frost. She did not have any reaction. However, this caused Shen Ruoming to take a few steps back in shock. Shen Ruoming never expected that this kind of nine-sun divine daughter would be so close to someone else. Don't show off your affection. I'm not jealous of you. Shen Ruoming put away his shocked heart and said to Qin Yun with a smile, I just feel sad for you because you are not worthy of nine-sun divine daughter. In the future, you will definitely know how powerful nine-sun divine daughter is. At that time, she will kick you away. Of course. Shut up. Bing Xing coldly shouted. This nine-sun divine daughter, you're just using her as a tool to become stronger. Am I right? Shen Ruoming said with a smile. No, Bing Xing said in a deep voice. If you don't leave now, don't even think about leaving. Shen Ruoming suddenly soared into the sky and disappeared. However, his voice still rippled over. When nine-sun divine daughter enters the transformation realm, you will know. I advise you to stay away from nine-sun divine daughter. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Qin Yun did not take Shen Ruoming's words to heart. Xiao Yun, how did you meet him? Bing Xing's voice became much softer. Don't mind his nonsense. Qin Yun held her warm and delicate hands and said, He came to find me. Sister Bing Xing, you have become really strong. You're also very strong. You have missed more than 100 years, but you are still so strong now. Even I can't see through your strength. Bing Xing said. Qin Yun only has a rough guess about his own strength. He feels that if he were to meet Thunder God again, he would definitely be able to kill him. Sister Bing Xing, you should have arrived at Sword Sun Divine Mountain a long time ago. Did you only arrive now? Qin Yun asked. We encountered some problems on the way, so we were delayed for more than 10 days. Bing Xing looked around and asked, Xiao Yun, did you come to cause trouble for Sword Sun Divine Mountain this time? Or did you come for the myriad heaven divine sword? Qin Yun said, I have enmity with Sword Sun Divine Mountain since a long time ago. My main goal in coming here this time is to get rid of them. Bing Xing slightly frowned and said, With the current situation, I'm afraid it will be very difficult for you to succeed. Since you have already killed Sect Master Xiang Junjian, we can just kill the strongest Sword Sun Divine Mountain's Grand Elder. Let me and Sister Shuyan do it. All right, what about Rian Sun and Moon Twin Dragon Swords? Little Phoenix said that you have already taken it back. Qin Yun took out the Sun and Moon Twin Dragon Swords and placed them in a long box. I will hand it over to Ruyan. When she finds out that you took it back, she will definitely be very happy. Bing Xing revealed a charming smile. Sister Bing Xing, Sword Sun Divine Mountain's Grand Elder, is still Xiang Yanghong, right? Qin Yun asked. He indeed remembers that Xiang Yanghong is very strong. And he is very strong, very difficult to deal with. When Shuyan and I came, we found out from the Divine Chief that Xiang Yanghong has been absorbing nine-sun divine power through Sword Sun Divine Mountain for many years. After the Myriad Realm's Divine Sun was born, Xiang Yanghong became even stronger. Bing Xing said, Don't worry, we can deal with him. Then now we will wait for the Myriad Heaven Divine Sword to come into being. Qin Yun nodded and said with a smile, Sister Bing Xing, can you go to the peak of Sword Sun Divine Mountain? Sister Shuyan has already gone up. I'll go now. Don't go near the mountain peak, lest someone discover your heavenly eye. Bing Xing used the tone of a big sister and sternly warned Qin Yun. Got it. I'll wait nearby for the Myriad Heaven Divine Sword to appear. Qin Yun said with a smile. Then I'm leaving. Bing Xing's ice-cold eyes are filled with tenderness and a trace of hidden bitterness as she looked at Qin Yun. And Qin Yun nodded and said. Bing Xing bit her lower lip and lightly stamped her feet. Then she hugged Qin Yun and kissed him. Qin Yun embraced the nine-sun divine maiden who is as cold as an iceberg. He is very happy in his heart and enjoyed a brief moment of beauty with her. After kissing for a while, Bing Xing lightly snorted and said, Why don't you take the initiative? You were the one who took the initiative before. I'm used to it. Qin Yun said with a mischievous smile. Bing Xing immediately rolled her eyes at him. Then, she pinched his handsome face with a little force and flew away. After Bing Xing flew away, Qin Yun sighed and said, Xiang Yang Hong, your son Xiang Yunjian's head is still with me. After all, we have known each other for so many years. Let me reunite you father and son. Although Qin Yun promised Bing Xing to let her and Liu Shuyan kill Xiang Yang Hong, he is only saying it verbally. This is the old and new enmity between him and Sword Sun Divine Mountain. He must personally settle it. Qin Yun waited for a while and then flew towards Sword Sun Divine Mountain. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.